Hey! Look at my John Wick lighting. I'm blue and pink and green, like the film John's Wick. Which I went to great lengths to ensure. I basically used a filter on a key light. Nothing's changed, but it looks dramatically different. Which I quite like.
Not to be confused with John Wick,
right?
Who owns the popular DIY outlet.
That's true. Yeah, I bought some tungsten tip screws from John Wick's.
John Wick.
A very different film. I just happened to have watched because this was your suggestion based from Annalise asking before on Patreon.
Yeah.
I just happened to watch John 2. I just happened to have watched John 2. John 2, the sequel to John. I happened to watch John 2 at the weekend, just coincidentally, and it's great. I haven't seen the third one. I was going to watch the third one if it won, which it didn't. Not even nearly. 2 and 3 didn't even get a look in, did they, in the poll? I don't think.
Not really, no. This one by a landslide. Yeah, John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum. Parabellum is all right, actually. I think I prefer it to 2. 2 is my least favourite one.
Oh, to 2. I prefer 2 to 1, actually. Yeah.
Do you really? Yeah, no. See, I don't.
Get into it.
I don't.
We'll get into it.
Yeah. I mean, they're all. I think 2 and 3 largely commit the sin of being essentially a feature-length stunt reel. Yeah. Done with enough panache for you to not mind. No, actually, and I have a lot of love for them, and I would happily watch them. I've got nothing against them in that regard, but they do feel a bit like there's another fight. Okay, like, it's all a bit like second unit, and then someone forgot to like
right.
Oh yeah, we better put some main unit in there so his Lawrence Fishburne, and then it's back to fighting and stuff, which I love. I love it. I love the whole thing. I think it's really.
It's a great universe. I love the kind of perverse assassin chivalry at the heart of these, because it's all based around rules and codes and stuff, isn't it? And it's kind of like you will not conduct business in the hotel and all that, and they're trying to kill each other and they have to have a drink together and stuff because it's against the rules and all that. Ivan keeps telling me to watch Parabolum as Perineum. I completely forgotten about Perineum, Leeson. What a fool I am. No, I like the mad assassin universe. It's this, and because they're supposed to be doing a TV show called The Continental about the
of course.
Yeah, and it's just like, okay, fine. I do think there are stories to be told in this universe. I think it's got enough, but how many times have we seen that not work? Basically,
the only thing I'll say is that they will simply be, hyper capable assassins fighting each other 3, 4, 5 times. It's just like where's the. There isn't really much drama in that. I mean, which is fine, I still, that doesn't mean it can't be a backdrop for something fascinating and interesting and have other assassins. But I mean, do you know, for example, what the original title of this film was going to be called?
I do not.
What the original title was going to be? They were going to call the title Scorn, which is terrible.
Scorn, Scorn, like Scorn. Oh,
yeah. You killed my dog.
Scorn, you killed my dog.
Mr. Bean. No, it was going to be called Scorn for the longest time, and it was Keanu Reeves wanted it called John Wick, and to the point where he actually went on press tours and said, "I'm doing this new film called John Wick," and eventually they had to change it because he was just. And look, he was right, because if this was just called Scorn, it wouldn't have, it hangs on the character, doesn't it? And that's not an arrogance on his part, I don't think.
That's not something I'd ever accuse him of. No.
But, it certainly seems like he knew that actually this was... Because don't forget, it came out at a time when that was the same year as Jack Reacher and all these other things that were just sort of like, a man's name.
Right.
And it's kind of like... And there was always this emotional hook of, they killed his dog, or... they took his daughter, or and it was just all that sort of shit. There was always like an inciting incident. It was sort of either named after the man or the inciting incident. So Taken, or John Wick, or Jack Reacher. But he can't reach her because he's quite short, which is not what Jack Reacher was. That was the headline thing, wasn't it? It's like, Tom Cruise is playing Jack Reacher. He's short. And it's like, yeah, okay.
I mean, luckily, I don't care about Jack Reacher, so I don't have an opinion. I know my friend Mick loves those books, and he was all about how, Jack Reacher's supposed to be 12'9" or something, and have tree trunks for fingers or whatever.
Do you know this is based? Well, they based John Wick on a true story.
Right.
And I am
okay.
Stalling for time while
the director's dog was killed, so he took revenge on Russian mafia. I know.
Yeah. No, it's based around the character that Mark Wahlberg... So Mark Wahlberg plays Marcus Luttrell in Lone Survivor.
Okay.
Who was a real person. And he... Apparently, there was an incident where he had been given a dog for... when he left the service, and he called the dog Daisy, which was named after like his something to do with his unit or something like that. Is it DASY? And he woke up one morning to find that a bunch of, I think, hillbillies or whatever had shot it and were laughing outside his house and jumped in their truck and pissed off. So he grabbed a gun, jumped in his car and went after them, chased them across 4 counties or something. Eventually managed to capture them. They ended up in jail. Like, he didn't kill them.
That's I wondered where that was. I was like, oh god, they pulled their guts out and
yeah, bathed in their blood. The local sheriff turned a blind eye. But no, that didn't happen. So I think it's loosely based around that. Because I think, isn't the dog's name Daisy?
I can't remember. Yeah, I don't know. They go to the measure of giving him a new dog in the second one, because as usual. And understandably, dog deaths are the most upsetting things, it seems.
Well, he nicks it, though. That's the thing I find a bit egregious. Because at the end of this, isn't it? He goes into the dog pound and nicks the pit bull or whatever, and it's like, that might be someone's dog. That could be a pet.
I've earned this dog. It's my dog now. This is how I sound. Exactly. Have I returned? I think I have returned. I'm
sad, okay? I want a dog. Whoa. Yeah, I'm thinking I'm back.
It's actually quite good. That's quite good.
Well, there's lots of sort of Keanu vague delivery in this, but it works really well for this character because it's supposed to be this sort of inaccessible world of assassins, isn't it? So it's kind of, it should be a bit
it's kind of
like other
how, because they put him as, like, you know, this is something they've tried. They wanted him as Dr. Manhattan because of his kind of ethereal quality. That didn't come off, and then they put him in the Day the Earth Stood Still remake, which I still haven't seen, as, you know, because it's supposed to be
good.
So I've heard, right? And what were they thinking anyway? So it's kind of got that ethereal kind of otherworldly quality, and he's kind of aloof and stuff, and you know that all he wanted was peace. It's the kind of samurai out of retirement thing, and I'm really glad Keanu hit pay dirt on this one, because he's plugged away on loads of little projects. He does loads of little things, little projects and stuff, and I think he very clearly does things that he loves doing, but not always to his betterment or anyone else's benefit. I'm just saying he's made some shit movies, is what I mean to say.
Well, that year he made 47 Ronin.
Was that year? It was not good. I saw that. No. Yes, it was not good. But hey, do you know what? He's a really charismatic guy. He's an amazing performer physically. Like, he really learnt all the martial arts stuff from The Matrix. You know, he's a really good martial artist.
Yeah. Well, this was a coming together of all that, because Chad Stahelski and David Leitch.
Yeah, David Leitch.
Whatever it is, they were stunt coordinators on The Matrix, weren't they? And became second unit directors.
Yeah, because I think I get because they've gone their separate ways now, haven't they? One of them was second unit director on Captain America: Civil War after this. So right. They came up as because those guys fucking put the time in, big time, massively. Yeah. I can't remember which one of them went off and did Deadpool 2 after Tim Miller left, because he did the first one, and one of them did Atomic Blonde, which very much has the visual style of this film. Atomic Blonde was really quite uninspiring. I don't know if did you see it? Or?
Almost as if it was directed by a second.
Duncan Case's opinions are his own, and also he's right, and I agree with them. But solidarity, brother. I'm going into bat for you.
Fair play.
No worries.
Casey Strong. Well, because Daniel Bernhard is in this as well, isn't he? And he was heavily involved in The Matrix. He was Agent Johnson. Among other things. So he's a sort of recognisable face. But again, started out, I think, as a fight choreographer.
I really like the way they use Fishburne in the second one. I love that whole, you know, they're playing on the fact that they knew each other from another time and everything, and it's like the Homeless Network from the Sherlock Holmes stories and things, and I like all that stuff that it does. And he gives that is the kind of one homeless guy the coin and goes like, "Take me to him." That's not how I can only do kind of like, "Oh my god," sort of California asshole is all I can do, and he's not that. He's British Canadian, in fact.
Yes,
but you know, I've just pegged it. I do this kind of like crap Valley Girl voice for him, which is not fair at all. But there you go. God, that was I feel like I just filibustered. I'm quite very tired. I'm afraid so.
I am too. We both had our jabs.
Oh yes, yes. We've both been both been stabbed by Bill Gates.
Which did you had Pfizer? Didn't you? I had Moderna.
I didn't realise there were 3. I must have heard. I just thought
Voodoo.
Java. It's the Japanese. I'm saying. I didn't realise Moderna. Because I'm an idiot. I thought it was just AstraZeneca and Pfizer. I didn't realise Moderna was an option in this country. Because I was just waiting to be called up for a stabbing. What I found quite egregious on stabbing day. The stabbings was great. But I got up. It was Monday and everything was beautiful. And I was like, "Fuck!" And I put a t-shirt on. And I cycled to the side of town. I was like, everything's amazing. Got my jab. I was like, the human race is fine. And I got back home and it just went, rain! And it's been like that a week. It's just the worst. It's like Monday started so well.
Well, it is due to improve, isn't it? We're actually going away to Cornwall next week on Friday. And originally, I think that literally the day we would arrive in Cornwall, it was going to be sunny all week, which was marvellous. But it seems like what's happened is that weather front has shifted a week early. So now it's going to be really nice at home all next week. And then when we go away, it's going to turn to shit.
Of course it is. Of course it fucking is.
But whatever, you know, I don't care because I'm just going to sit in my pants and not give a shit.
That sounds. You did say you're going away, and I, like an arsehole, didn't ask where, which is rude. Rude. Cornwall's beautiful, lovely.
Yeah. Well, so we're just staying in a really lovely roundhouse and stuff. But so that means that next Thursday I will be around, but the following Thursday I shall.
So I may be could be solo. Yeah, no, it's fine. You've covered twice now for me. I was at Gonville and Keys College and Cambridge University last week. This time, filming people eating and cooking. But yeah, that was one of those things. It's classic. Like I'm just gonna complain about work for a little bit. Every time, I don't know about you. Okay. Every time there's a dead finish, right? It's never then. Never then. And sometimes it's kind of like, we'll finish about 8 because that means midnight. When someone says we'll finish at 8, that means 10. You know what I mean? I've got 2 hours for a hard finish, which never happens, and then a kind of vague finish, add 4 hours. Easy. And my brain, after 5 years, doesn't...
I tell people a good sort of hour ahead of when I need to be out of there. Yeah. And because as well, like, you want to wrap up properly, but yeah, I do find that. I just find that always happens, because I think, especially when you're dealing with people, you know, corporate stuff, it's usually a jolly for them, so it's like they just want to keep the good times going, but you're like, you know, this is my day job and I need that.
It's like it's the novelty of being filmed, and for me it's like I'm filming as usual. Like I'm not, you know, hey, that was a good job, but because it was during Cambridge University dinner service, no one's allowed in a hall that isn't dressed smartly. And it's like, I get it, right? I get it, but like wearing smart shoes for me is almost a hazard. And like, you know, I'm not.
you like Agador Spartacus.
Yeah, precisely. Yeah.
I do not wear shoes because they make me fall down.
Can't see cars, can't wear smart shoes. These are the crosses that I bear.
Woe betide you if you try and cross the road in smart shoes.
Yeah, well, fuck that. I mean, I'm surprised I've survived this long living on the main road. But yeah, just like making me dress as a waiter adds nothing. It adds nothing. Sometimes when I do like weddings, to be fair, like you can't do that at a wedding. I haven't done a wedding in years. Big award shows. I used to do pre-COVID. I used to do the Museums and Heritage Magazine Awards every year, and I had to wear like a 3-piece and smart shoes, but I'd still have a belt with lenses on and like cans and stuff. And it's kind of like you know, can't I just dress like the AV guys? Like they're all there in black polo shirts and shit. Why do I have to dress like this? You know, but whatever. Fuck it. They pay me, so whatever. So anyway, that's probably really fun and interesting for everybody at home. I'm sure they're fascinated by all that.
Well, I'm going to furnish us with a couple of PayPal things, and then I'm going to filibuster about Papillon, because I did my research over the weekend and watched both versions.
You said yes. I'm interested to hear.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, I'll let you do that. I'm gonna.
Well, all that coming up.
All that coming up.
One moment, but first, a word from our sponsors. We have £10 from Andrew Capitz, and he writes, "Hello boys, thoughts on Henry Cavill taking on the reboot of your favourite film, The Highlander? I think you've added the, it was never called The Highlander, but whatever. What are your thoughts on Henry Cavill taking it on, I'm assuming, as an actor and not as...
Yeah, he is the star of Highlander. Like, I did mean to bring this up because, you know, I think...
Is he
I believe so. Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, it's official. He announced it on his Instagram or something. They're going to have to work. They're going to have to work really hard and really long and put in a load of attention to detail and a great cast to make it as shit as the original. And I really, hope, you know, they can make something just as boring, just as disjointed, and just as indulgent as the original one.
I hope that they'll have to get like Timothy Dalton as the Sean Connery.
I don't say that because I know you want to watch it. Like I just want Timothy Dalton.
Yeah. That's true. But that's. I mean, I didn't know that, but it seems like just everyone points to Henry Cavill if you want to cast some British or Tom Hardy.
Yeah,
you know, it's like they're just on the top of every fucking list, and it's quite. I mean, you know, it's fine. It's all good, but a little imagination wouldn't go amiss. But never mind. That's my thoughts on that. I mean, it's not exactly a property we are.
Well, yeah, I didn't. I'm sure that
except for my favourite part about it is that Hugh Quashie is in the film, and I'm
Quashie's a fucking dude. Yeah, we're both Quashie fans, aren't we?
Yeah,
underutilized. Lovely dude.
Yeah, met him a few times, worked with him. Lovely bloke. We received £20 from Annalise Mosklin. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you.
I think she felt the need to compensate us for this, by the way, because she requested John Wick. Because when we did the Keanu week, we put John Wick in there, but it didn't win, and Speed did, weirdly enough, which I was happy with. But she was so. This is one of her favourite things to watch, I believe. So we thought we would just do her a solid and just put all the John Wicks in, because there you go. She says, "Evening guy." She didn't talk like that. This week's poll made my week. You guys are so sweet. I will be doing fuck all through this stream, but Michael's going to be trying to work while listening. So please do be as distracting as possible. Love being part of this republic.
There you
go. So there you go. It's not a republic; it's a dictatorship. But, read the small print and you go. So Papillon, or as someone the same shape and consistency as my wife called it, Papillon.
Nice.
Which, because anything with Charlie Humdrum in it, she's attracted to.
Oh, Charlie Humdrum's in the new one, is he?
Yeah,
and it is a film, not a show. I thought it was a show for some reason. It's a film.
No, it's a film. It's a film. In fairness to them, they got Rami Malek as Dagar.
Oh, nice.
Okay. Which is excellent casting, and he is fucking good in it. I will say this: like, I actually think I rewatched them back to back because I did, because they're both on Prime. I think the original. It's one of those things you kind of go. I don't think the remake says anything. In fact, the remake. It's frustrating because the remake glosses over a lot of. It condenses a lot of plot beats into one thing. Like in the original one, when he escaped, one of the escape attempts, he ends up like doing a runner and ending up in. I can't remember. It's not Colombia, but it's sort of South America somewhere, and he ends up in at one point like a camp of like natives, and then he ends up in a nunnery, and it's sort of they condense all that into sort of like nuns living in a camp. Oh yeah, and there's the lepers and stuff with Anthony Serby, whatever his name is. Anyway, so they condense all that pointlessly into some nuns what live in a tent and leprosy or something. And
exact dialogue from Charlie Humdrum.
Exact dialogue. They leave out lots of kind of like important things, but I will say this: I think it did certain things. I think it did the ending a bit better than the original. I think it did the relationship between him and Dagar was a bit better. I actually think Rami Malek was better than Dustin Hoffman.
Okay.
I do. I just genuinely do. I think he. I mean, I'm not saying I'm splitting hairs in a lot of ways because I think Dustin Hoffman is fantastic as Dagar, but I actually think.
Well, I think it's good to sort of challenge these things because it's that period of American cinema with method actors and stuff where you're not supposed to say anything bad about them. And hey, if someone does, and you're not, you're just saying piece of shit cunt. No, you're just saying Rami Malek's better than his performance is better in this particular instance.
I put it this way: I got more the impression of what Dagar is supposed to be from Rami Malek than I did from Dustin Hoffman. I think Dustin Hoffman seemed to me to be playing an affected person. He seemed to be much more in the mould of what's this character from Midnight Cowboy called?
I'm Walking Here.
Well,
it's his name.
Yeah, that guy. I'm walking here. That guy. He seems to be more in that mould, like doing affected things and walking and talking like not like that.
Yeah.
But Rami Malek just seemed much more. He had a calmness about him, which I think made more sense to me. But that's just. I think it's personal preference. Honestly, I don't think it's. But I mean, obviously, Steve McQueen is brilliant. Charlie Humdrum is okay, but it's one of those like it's a French penal colony, and he's sexy Charlie Humdrum with his six-pack, and it's like he's supposed to be starving in a cage for 2 years, but.
Yeah, it's like sort of Terminator Salvation. It's like it's a nuclear apocalypse and everyone's all ripped and has six packs and stuff. And it's like, yeah, okay, fine. Well,
because it's just sort of like, well, that has to happen now, I suppose, or whatever. My dad sends £10 and he says, decent movie tonight. So there you go, we've got his endorsement. So thanks, Dad. Appreciate that.
He's in the chat. Erica is now available on Steam. I have a copy. Duncan has a copy.
Well, I don't have a Steam.
Is it not? Is it on Mac now? I thought it was on Mac now.
I don't know. I haven't had time to
of course,
find out.
I just think in terms of my pointless, pathetic life where just someone says, well, it's like, hey, Richard, have you got time to just sort of like draw a willy on a wall? And I go, yeah, I have. That's my life. Whereas other people, it's like, I've got real responsibilities. I'm just sat here on Steam going like, yeah, brilliant, Erica. So we will do a kind of a conjoined Let's Play, surely. That seems,
we'll
mad
do that.
not to.
We'll do that. I actually told the creative Pavle, who's one of the creative directors at Flavorworks and the co-founder of said studio, that was the plan. So we will do that. And I think he's probably going to be the only Let's Play. Well, he and Jack did do a Let's Play for Steam, which I think you can kind of watch, but it wasn't like a Let's. It was like snippets from them going through it live.
Okay, so like a curated sort of section of their Let's Play. Yeah,
I don't think anyone from the project has actually done it themselves. I think it's all not I know, but I mean, I don't think so. I don't think
it's exciting
from it. So yeah, so exclusive to Val
It's got
Verde.
the star in it. One of the stars. It's got the star in it. The best star. I haven't played it. He's the best star in it because he's my mate. No one else can fuck off. Not the nice people who are also in Erica. James Morgan sends 9 English 99. Hi lads, hope you're both groovy. No question tonight. Just wanted to send a little love your way. Well, thank you, James Morgan. We send love back to you as well. We better get cracking on with JW. Hey?
Yeah.
What?
We also just received £10, although subject to a 59p fee because PayPal is so transparent that way. I don't know why. Anyway, hi guys, glad to see you both doing well. Any chance of you guys doing a watch party / commentary on a Michael Mann film?
Who's that from?
Howick. Logan Howick, sorry.
Michael Mann films.
That sounded like fucking University Challenge.
Logan. What are your thoughts on Michael Mann movies? I quite like Collateral.
Yes, Collateral and Heat.
Yeah. I think Heat is the one people would want, isn't it? I would have thought.
I believe, probably. Yeah. I mean, it's a good shout to throw some in there. I mean, Manhunter's the one. I find that film laughably overrated, to be honest. I mean, it's the George Lazenby of, like, you know,
it's the contrarian.
Brian Cox is my favourite Hannibal Lecter, and it's like, really though? Like, I mean, he's great. Love me some Brian Cox, but
Brian's Cox. He's my favourite Daphne's dad off of Frasier. That's
yes. I can't let you buy me a first class ticket to America. He's
the best. He's so good. Gary and stuff had a line with him. They used to do Gary from Dead Mouse. They used to do stuff with Brian Cox.
Yeah. He's one of. Don't get that. This is not a slight on Brian Cox. I just don't. That film for me. It's the way it's directed. It's nothing against the people in it. It's not a bad film. It's just this sounds ridiculous, but I prefer Red Dragon. And I know that's Brett Ratner.
I've not seen it because it's Brett Ratner.
Yeah, but it's actually pretty. I mean, it's probably Brett Ratner's best film. But I think it's for me.
I struggle a wee bit with the intense self-seriousness of Michael Mann. Everything is all very serious. So there's very little levity in a Michael Mann film. They're technically amazing and very kind of meaty thrillers, but they are intensely po-faced. And he as an individual seems rather kind of po-faced. I mean, it's interesting, you know, considering he remade his own TV show with Miami Vice, which I always find because quite often they come along and do that, and it's like Starsky and Hutch, and we're taking the piss. But no, he come and did a very self-serious Miami Vice reboot himself. Which is interesting. That's inherently interesting to me. I don't know, because that could have been Ben Stiller and fucking, you know, whatever, Vince Vaughn in an ironic version. Oh no, actually, because one of them's black, so probably not that. Let me, but you know, whatever fucking.
Yeah, it's like Dukes of Hazzard and fucking Starsky and Hutch. It was all reimagined as kind of some, you know, spoof thing. Yeah, which seemed to be the blueprint for a long time. And yeah, I mean.
I think we have the Brady Bunch to thank for that. That kicked all that off. The Brady Bunch movies. Right, should we kick on with John's Wick?
Let's do
John's
that. Let's
Wick. Hello, I'm John. Here's my Wick. I don't know what I'm doing.
We just like to see.
You like to see my action Wick. I've got a gun, but no Doug. They killed my Doug. I don't know what I'm doing.
You see, Ronnie, the gun is his dick.
Oh, fuck that. Let's do role models. Let's just fucking do role models. It's a great movie. Yeah. Okay, do you have your copy of John's Wick?
I have my copy of John's
Boys and
Wick.
girls, do you have your copies of John's Wick? Yes, we do. Okay, cool. Okay. A little bit of filibustering to let you get your copies ready. I'm going to count in from 10 down to 1. I'm just going to go for it. I'm going to do it normally in a sensible way, and then I'm going to say John Wick as the trigger. That's the trigger phrase. Okay, you ready?
All right.
10.
Ready.
9, 8, 7, 6. Too many numbers. 5, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1. John Wick. I could work at NASA as the countsman. That's what they call him. It's the countsman.
Produced, of course, by Eva Longoria. Weirdly,
Is it actually?
This film. It's produced by Eva Longoria. It's like she sort of thought I ought to speculate with some of that sweet Desperate Housewives money.
Fair fucking
hit on a
play
winner.
to her. Okay, fair
Exactly,
enough.
right?
Fair enough. This is inspired because there's one at the moment that is by the same writer of this. That there's like a Bob Odenkirk, aging tough guy John Wick style movie coming out. I can't remember what it's called.
Yes, it's called No One or
Nobody.
Nobody
It's supposed to be really good.
It looks. Do you know what? It looks like it. If I was being cynical, it looks like it's jumping on a bandwagon. But I have. It also looks fucking cool.
That's the thing. Yeah, same writer as this. It massively looks like the bandwagon thing, but it seems to have its own identity and be quite cool. And hey, I'm there for it. That's all right with me. Because this come after all the.
I get the impression though that it sort of sets him up as like he's just nobody, and then it's like no, he's probably like an ex-special forces guy.
That's a great turn for
a Swiss Army dick.
A Swiss Army dick. Well, because when they did those aging action man movies, like John Cusack and Liam Neeson was the big one, and I think and they all did one. Like Kevin Costner did one, and that's fine. But they're all kind of like serious actors. Like Bob Odenkirk, basically, he's a good straight actor, but most famously a comedian. Him in that kind of role, I'm like, okay, I'm interested. I'm kind of interested because like this from the outset is like Keanu Reeves kills a bunch of people, and it's like, well, okay, at this point in his career, it's like he's done that a lot, whatever. But when you watch it, it's kind of like, oh, they've got loads of great ideas. It's kind of quite unique, has its own kind of look and everything.
Yeah, no, I think it. Do you know what this? I do think this. The first one has a really strong sense of structure and narrative, and obviously we open with what could be his death, and that's the thing people sort of forget. I saw this film before the first two came out. That's before the second two came out, and it was clear to me that they were going for like this could be a self-contained thing. Like off the bat, you think maybe you've seen him just die, and now so it's going to be one big revenge mission, but a suicide one, and it's a good sleight of hand, I think. I think it's sort of cleverly done. But, I think it's... Do you know what? The thing for me with this film, and why I'm so glad it did so well, and it has spawned a sort of universe and, and all that sort of stuff, and it's been his kind of third act, hasn't it, I guess? And that's all great. But I think what's so good about it is it cost me like $20 million.
Dude.
Right. Look what you can make for $20 million.
Exactly.
Like, why are we spending hundreds?
You put it on, lean into one star, and you get. Because to be fair, though, I mean, it's just like Alfie Allen and John Leguizamo and
Willem Dafoe and Ian McShane.
I fucking love Ian McShane.
But these guys will come to play. Like, I think that's the thing. When you have something solid and you've got Keanu, it's all about like Keanu's the kind of nucleus to this, and they'll show up and they want to. But I do get the impression because Willem Dafoe. We started watching some film with Nicolas Cage and Willem Dafoe. That was just one of those randos on Netflix or whatever the other day, and it was so awful we turned it off. But it's like that's what I get the impression that like Willem Dafoe is just mates with loads of people, and when it's like, hey Willem, I've got this film. It's like, do you want to be in it? And I'm in it. I'm technically in a Nicolas Cage film, so I can't talk. But but he's like, yeah, sounds good. Like, turns out it's just like. He's just a mate, I mean? Yeah. Like, I think people are like that. It's kind of like, this shows they're not. Well,
he's in like Mr. Bean's Holiday, for example, and things like that. He turns up, and he's, Willem Dafoe's fucking awesome.
We love him.
Like you say, he turns up in the strangest places. He really does.
My bedroom.
Hello, Duncan. Okay, bye. He just walks up.
Just so you know.
Never feel safe, Duncan.
Sleep well.
Genuinely terrifying. The thing is, I can see it coming out of his mouth though. That's the kind of I can hear it coming out of his mouth.
Yeah.
This is all very deft, by the way. This is all super deft. All this stuff. It's
Oh god, yeah. And if you notice, like it's all washed out and blue, and there's that thing of like as he starts to come back into the game, quote unquote, things start to brighten up. And it's things like because people have criticised, wasn't it, that the muzzle flash? There's a lot of CGI muzzle flash and stuff because obviously you can't point a gun at someone's head. Even with a blank.
Letting off a blank round next to someone's head really dangerous. Ask Brandon Lee, for example.
Not quite. Well, that was a dummy round, wasn't it? That wasn't a blank.
That's a whole other discussion.
It was a dummy round in a gun with a blank behind it that hadn't been cleared.
Yeah, it had wadding in it.
So it's like the idea is I think the muzzle flashes kind of look like sparks of his old life coming back, and then by the end, it's all the colour returns.
I've only seen the second two, but like the first, fucking I did it as well. The first two I've seen.
You did the other round.
No, it's the second one is very, very much about literal and figurative underworlds, and there's constant imagery of moving up and down. Like up and down escalators. You know, there's the figurative underworld and there's a figurative overworld, but then there are literal ones because when they, go into the art gallery, and the art gallery has all those LED panels that turn into hell. There is constant signs of descent and dropping. And it's like, this is good fucking visual storytelling. That your metaphor here isn't the most sophisticated thing in the world, granted, but you're executing it perfectly visually.
It doesn't have to be.
No, of course.
I really don't think that has to be. And you're right, because he ends up fighting in the sort of catacombs of that Italian castle in the sort of sewers and shit. And it gets down and dirty. And then that, of course, has
Serafinovich.
Peter
as a gun sommelier. I love the gun sommelier. It's great. It's kind of like after dinner and everything, and it's it's fucking perfect. Excellent use. Excellent use of Serafinovich. Unlike Guardians of the Galaxy, which just threw him away in a completely kind of boring kind of space cop guy.
Like, this guy's popular in America. What do we do with him?
Peter Serafinovich in the Marvel Universe. I'm not saying give him a movie. I am saying that, but give him something.
Well, he's a tick.
I'd like to do. In a James Gunn movie, Peter Serafinovich should be doing something kind of gonzo and wacky and fun, and not just like, I'm a space cop, space battles and policing, or whatever. I don't know. I really love the start of the second one when he goes to see, when he goes to see Peter Stormare at the start of the second movie. To sort of like they're addressing the offence of this. It's so good because Stormare's just fucking bricking it for the whole scene. It's so good. It's like great face acting by him.
He's wonderful at that. Yeah, Stormare is fantastic. Wing Kong Exchange sent us £5 super chat. I just didn't want to miss that. He says, "What do you guys make of the music in the Wick films? It doesn't get talked about much, but there's some banging tunes in these films." Yes, I agree. I think it's got.
Could you remind me? I've completely drawn a blank on that. I apologise.
I mean, I couldn't name any of the tracks, but I'm sure they do have them. But it does have a very what's the word? It's like we killed strangers or something. It does. I mean, listen to it. But it does. I agree with him. I do think it does. This is a beagle puppy, which looks cute, but would grow up in pretty short order to be a little cunt, because that's just what they do. Ask Gary.
My ex's parents had a beagle as well. Yeah, they're a handful.
Everyone loves them. My wife wanted one, and it's like, but they howl and they destroy things and they just obstruct.
Gun dogs, man. I mean, there's dogs like that need to fulfill their role, or they go mental. They're not supposed to live in fucking suburbia. It's like people who get huskies. They look nice, but they're used to pulling sleds around the tundra. They don't fucking live in Chepstow.
I mean, yeah, right, exactly. I mean, like we have a gun dog, but he's a beater and retriever, so he's I suppose I don't know. Well, no, beagles are. What are beagles?
Dogs.
The beagles are beagles.
No.
Yes, yeah. Are they? Do they hunt? I guess
they are like they're hunting dogs, I believe. Yeah, I mean they're a type of gun dog, so I don't really know enough to get into that.
Spaniels are designed to sort of run through the brush. That's why whenever we take Winston out, he just goes into bushes. Like he just runs through bushes. He loves going through bushes because that's what he's meant to do. He's meant to chase things out. So he's a beater. To beat out all the pheasants or whatever, and then you shoot them.
My mum used to do that as a job when she was in school. That was the rural equivalent of a paper round, and she would earn money beating pheasants out of hedges for people to shoot at. For her dad to shoot at, in actual fact. That sounds well more exciting than the paper round I did, and the litter pecking. Though when I was doing litter picking, I did once find a prosthetic leg. We do have a user called the Ghost of John Wick's Beagle, who's not here tonight, it seems, which feels ironic. Look at that! Look at the adorable little puppy, though. I mean, I know it grew up to be a wanker, but look at it. Oh, it's a she, is it?
I think it's a she, yeah, because it's again, like I said, I think they called it Daisy in this.
Right. Oh, of course, you did say that.
Because that's the point of referencing what's his face. But yes, yeah, I mean, all puppies are beautiful, even the ugly ones.
Because they're puppies.
You know, you cannot hate a puppy. It's I try. Or indeed a dog. You know, I mean, dogs are just incredible, and I think we'll always have a dog in our house because they just, I
want a dog and a cat, but I live in kind of rental serfdom, so it's not allowed. You have to go, which is intelligent, because I mean, I know people do, but you have to find someone, you have to find a place that takes pets. So you have to do it that way around. Because I'd totally have a dog and a cat. I love dogs and cats. I mean, I just love animals, but I don't want to be one of those people who has like 90. I don't want kids, it's too much hassle. Here's my 50 animals in my fucking menagerie that have to eat food imported from Brazil or whatever. I'm not that kind of bananas.
No, I mean it's all a responsibility, isn't it? But I mean it's funny because you start especially when you're sort of younger and all that, like you convince yourself that it's just not possible. Like we did. We were like, we can't have a dog. I can't let you buy me a first class thing. But it was that thing of like, we can't have a dog. We have a life. We do things. How could we possibly have a dog? And then you do, and it doesn't make any. Your life just immediately changes to accommodate it. And it's the same thing with kids. Really, it's just sort of like, oh, okay, I guess this is normal now. And
dog's good training wheels for kids, though, isn't it? It's got a nice little soft warm up, very soft warm up.
Yeah, I mean, in the sense of, I mean, it's especially early days with a kid, like a newborn is kind of like a pet. I know that's probably a bad, but it does just.
I mean, you did feed yours awful. Yeah.
yeah, raw.
Awful, yeah, because it's good for their immune system. It's good for the gut. Raw awful. Yes.
Yeah.
Alfie Allen, he's just the worst. By which I mean he plays kind of douchebags a lot.
Right.
And confusingly, that Irish character in the Predator or the Predator. I wanted to call it the Predators, but that's two films.
The Predator.
The Predator, or in Germany, Die Predator Die.
Which would be
yeah, it really would actually. It's got Die Dark Man Die vibes.
It does.
I really like you just
or Run Fat Boy Run.
Yes, indeed, yeah. The Simon Pegg, David Schwimmer film we never knew we wanted, and we still know we don't want, actually.
I know this bit is really weird that he does the sort of like he's a stunt driver in an airport. But but it gives you a hint, doesn't it? Like because the security guard just sort of lets him through, and that's a little wee taster of what the world he lives in, where it's like authority steps aside. Yeah. Always, and this is look how this is lit as well. This is sunny and orange and bright, and it's because he's doing his old thing, right?
Right, yeah. Life comes back into his world. I like because by the time of the second one, like everything's just mental. Because we've already gone off that cliff, by having the first movie. So in the second one, everything's kind of like most of the lighting's crazy and stuff, and it's more concerned with ups and downs and things. I think.
Oh yeah, look, I think they changed tack really well because obviously the hook of this was they killed his dog, and the hook of it is really like what everyone always says about movies. It's like if the dog dies, that's it. That's worse than
this just goes like, how about a puppy in the first act? Hey.
Yeah, well that's the inciting incident, isn't it? The whole film hinges on it, so it's kind of like, but then so when you're going to make a second one and stuff, it's good. But this is perfect setup for something else. Because and it is difficult because it's a revenge film and it's a revenge centered around a fairly specific thing. It's just set against the backdrop of a again, we sort of spoken about this before, but a sort of a clearly the kind of world that's been well thought out in terms of the script and the screenplay, and everyone involved knows what this is, but we don't. And that's the point. It's just how it should be. I find it hard to believe that a bunch of punks would be able to get the drop on John Wick like that, especially given what we see him do later on.
Got the puppy, man. Got the beagle puppy.
That's it.
I mean, that's how you make people hate Alfie Allen, is have his Goombas kill a beagle puppy. Yeah, no, it's a simple story, well told. I think that was the thing with this. I think that was the energy that came off of this when it came out. It's kind of like, it's got this spectacular, really spectacular choreography, but it's a simple story, well told. And it's
exactly.
not because so at the end of the second movie, it appears to be going international, right? That seemed to be the setup. Like, he's been chased out of the assassin world, and it's kind of going global, and everyone's after him. Is that what happens in that one then, or?
Yeah, I mean, yes, in a way. The third one does have Halle Berry in it, who is actually really good. She's someone I think can be quite hit and miss, but she's actually pretty good. She's pretty cool. She has dogs and stuff. It's pretty cool. And they end up in the Middle East. I think at one point. I've only seen it once, and but I again, more so than the second one, it felt very much like a loosely strung together series of fight scenes, but it was but an enjoyable one, and it got ludicrous towards the end, as it's bound to do, and there's going to be a fourth one, of course. Yes, I would say so. Yes, because obviously the setup is that he's now excommunicado, right? From the
excommunicado. That's my Ian McShane. It's very bad, very bad.
Ian McShane, because he's Ian McShane doing an American accent, isn't it? So it's playing Winston.
Yeah, which is great name. Some people have arrived late and are asking for a time code. We're currently at around 16:30. Why don't I notify you all at 18 minutes? Get ready, and I'll count you in 10 seconds from 18 minutes to 18 minutes. Everybody gets 18 minutes who's just come in. Johnny Leguizamo. I love him. I love him in all things. I think he's great. I'm such a fan. In George A. Romero's Land of the Dead as well. Lovely turn between him and Dennis Hopper in the crazy big budget star-studded Romero zombie film. But he's so fantastic. He's so good in that. I love him. He was. I say this every time he comes on. He was the American Del Boy in the American Only Fools, which I love to bring up all the time. And Christopher Lloyd was Uncle Albert / Grandad, because I think they combined them.
Oh wow!
It's called Kings of Van Nuys, which is a place in LA, I believe.
Van Nuys is it's an airport.
It's an area as well. It's next to where I stayed in Mission Hills.
Yeah.
And then my Scottish friend was like, "Yeah, don't go there." That's okay. Fair enough. Okay, 30 seconds, latecomers, to 18 minutes, and I'll give you a 10-second warning, but I won't count it in. I do like that this whole him coming back stuff is nicely portentous, and I like his hidden stash as well. Okay, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. John Wick, 18 minutes. John Wick.
There's that sort of fatalistic thing as well. Like he's sitting around drinking what looks to be, a bottle of premium booze. It sort of has that finite. All the characters that John Wick starts to come into contact with look like they have a resigned or a resignation on their face that means they're going to die. They all look like there's just they're in the way of something that, because it's like, I've got to get in between a legendary assassin and the Russian mafia. So what do you do?
Yeah. They parodied this on Rick and Morty, because what do they call him? I can't remember what they call him, but just saying that because the episode, John Wick's nickname that the Russians call him, I can't remember what it is.
Baba Yaga, the boogeyman.
There you go. They do that in Rick and Morty. But I'm just saying that because Peter Serafinowicz in that episode, where they do that kind of thing. You're on mugs, mate. I do I think kind of what the shame is for me, and I think it's a bit different for you, is because I already I kind of knew what I was getting in for when I watched this, because it become a phenomenon. Everyone was parodying it and stuff. But when the gunplay starts in this, it's like, fucking Christ! Like the choreography and stuff is just like, whoa, what did I just watch? Because you've seen a million kind of gun kata and kung fu type things, but this is completely doing its own thing.
It's functional, yeah. All the fighting in this is fun, and do you know what as well? What I love about it is it's like it pays off the setup in a way that because a lot of films do that, like, I'm a badass, and then it's like, are you though? Like, because when you see them fight, it's clearly either a stunt double or whoever, and obviously, like you say, Keanu Gun does kung fu and stuff, but it's not kung fu, is it?
Oh no, I meant that as it's like a gun kata type thing, but I meant like as a broad. I mean,
no, I know that. I just mean that it's that's what people know him
I
for.
see. But this is not that.
Yeah.
He's got that. I suppose that kind of physicality. He's got that kind of fitness. I suppose that's the other thing to do the kind of moves he does in this. He's able to sort of handle himself and to look dangerous. I think because they do that thing. Guns in the John Wick films are kind of like, obviously they're tools, but they're not always like ranged weapons. They're applied at short distance a lot, almost like they're daggers or something. And
it's almost like a sort of staple gun, It's like there's that massive guy in the spa later on.
yeah.
He has to shoot like a million times, only when he gets him in the head, because that's done a lot as well. As a sort of like guns jam, shots don't kill people. It's like it's double tap to the head or nothing. It's like on hard mode basically.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? And so it's kind of like it's all functional. You get the impression that like if he doesn't, there isn't sort of room for fancy pants stuff. It's, even though it is fancy in the way he goes about it, it's sort of, but it straddles that line where the Matrix didn't. I think this straddles the line of sort of appearing choreographed, but because of ability, not because some fight choreographers choreographed it. If that makes sense.
Get it.
It's like
the Matrix is very much, because that's Yen Wu Ping, who they brought over from Hong Kong, and that's very much the kind of, they were doing that style of filmmaking where it's very kind of balletic and operatic, and
yeah, and that has its place. I'm not saying that's
no,
wrong
of course,
anything,
but this is more the kind of functional, down and dirty, because it's very, very planned out and everything, but it's these little quick clippy moves. The camera's at kind of ground level usually, there's not kind of like big slow-mo sweeps or kind of like swelling music. It's all like gack, 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 gack. And it's like, oh, he's lying on his floor, he shot him in the bum, okay, what's he doing now? And it's just, oh, it's in his ear. There's the fucking thing with the pencil in the second one. I love that, because they set it up and then it's like Chekhov's pencil in the face, because
we did a similar thing in the third one as well, which is pretty horrible, actually.
They say he put a toaster up someone's asshole, and then later in the film,
and turned it on.
and then his insides turned into crumpets. He was plugged in. I saw it.
Someone who doesn't get enough credit for this is Michael Nyqvist, I think, because I do think you're only as good as your villain, and I think he is such a he's so great in this. Because it's like the pencil thing, right? It's all told in this one. It's told for him. It's like, I saw him kill a man with a pencil. It's like a fucking pencil. It's just like, and if he didn't give it that, it wouldn't. I don't know. It's just sort of. I think he's obviously the late great Michael Nyqvist. Really sad that he passed away. So I think he's fantastic.
Really, really fantastic.
The original Blomqvist, isn't he, from The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo?
Well, I wouldn't know. You see. I wouldn't know.
Yeah, he's because he does look like Daniel Craig. No, Mikhail Blomqvist, the character that Daniel Craig. But yeah, he's in the original.
We've also got the great Dean Winters here as well. Who's best. He seems to have been typecast as comedy douchebags in like Brooklyn Nine-Nine and in the Tina Fey 30 Rock. In both of which he plays basically the same douchebag, which is unfortunate, but good business, I imagine, for him. Bless him.
Hey, I'll take it.
Yeah,
if,
man.
Someone wants to typecast me and give me lots of jobs based on that.
Regular douchebag work. I love this because, what does he do? He literally digs up the past with a hammer. Like, it's not, it knows it's not subtle and it goes out of its way to show that to you.
Well, yeah, he digs it up with a hammer and angst. That's, no, absolutely. And in his basement, where he keeps all his secrets and everything,
exactly,
and it's just
right?
like,
it's not terrible. But the thing is, it's still, it's all done visually. Like, if there was a song called I Buried My Past in the Basement, Zack Snyder would have used it in this scene. You know what I mean? Like, there was a bit in Army of the Dead, which of course I watched, where he used the song Zombie by the Cranberries. Now, the problem with that is, the song Zombie by the Cranberries, despite what you might think, isn't about a zombie. It's about the deaths of 2 children in the Troubles in Northern Ireland. And perhaps using it in your zombie film might be a little bit distasteful, but don't worry, because the film's about zombies and zombies. Whereas this is kind of like, it's in the text, it's in the images. This is parallel action because you've got these guys discussing him and who he is. And then we have a dialogue-free thing intercut with him literally digging up his past with a hammer. And then it reveals also, and it's quite neatly nested because it reveals the gold coins. And that's one of the big indicators of, like, what does that mean? And that's the currency in the assassin world and everything.
No, 100%. It's like you say, it is digging up the past, but digging up a past world as well, which is, no, it's fantastic. As well, like Michael Nyqvist does this great thing here because look, he's playing it like I know you're dead. Like I have to accept that my son is dead.
Yes.
and that I have to defend him anyway. It's the same sort of thing as True Romance. With the scene with Dennis Hopper and Walken and stuff, and it's that thing of like parents knowing what the score is, knowing they've lost, but knowing that they're a parent, so they have a job to do, and that's it. He's like, I'm gonna die, you're gonna die, we're gonna go down fighting, but
this is your fault, you fucking cunt.
Yeah, exactly.
It's good. Yeah, it's that kind of. These films are, well, again, I've only seen 2/3 of them, but there's a kind of anti-chivalry at it, and there's codes of conduct, and there's rules, and everybody has to obey them. And the fatality of, like, I remember because there's a meme about there's a meme of Thanos doing the snap, and then one of the people that gets disappeared is John Wick's beagle. And then it shows John Wick looking angry, and it's like, yeah, okay, cool, because everyone in this universe knows you could have just let him be. You could have just fucking let him be, but you didn't. I also like his retirement, his anti-retirement plan, his out of retirement plan that he hoped never to use, buried under concrete.
Yeah.
With the rolls of those coins are all chocolate because real coins don't show up on film. Did you know that?
I did.
That's a Simpsons joke I've lazily repackaged with very little effort, very little effort at all. No.
Yeah, because doesn't it in this phone call, like, he doesn't say anything, and I think, if I remember rightly.
Because the new Matrix is in the can.
Is it?
It was a COVID casualty, yeah. So we'll get it, but there's no Fishburne, there's no Hugo Weaving either.
None of the surviving, the people in the actual thing.
I didn't actually think of it like that. I didn't think of it like that.
Right.
I don't know what they're. There's only one of the Wachowskis as well, which I find it really funny that no one's remarked on that, because it's something they always did as a pair, and now it's only one of them. And I don't know if they're still working together. I don't know. I quite liked what I saw of Cloud Atlas. I saw it like in fits and starts because it's essentially an anthology, but I didn't hate it. I was kind of like, this is stupid, but I kind of like it. I feel like I like the Tom Twyker scenes in it more, but there you go.
I saw a very brief part of it. Yeah, it was one of those suspiciously on television.
This looks very, 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 very expensive, and it was in the cinema last week or whatever.
Didn't they do Jupiter Ascending or something as well? It's like they have not had a good track record after the Matrix. It's like
Jupiter Ascending, fuck me. Though I did quite like Speed Racer. I saw Speed Racer on a flight, and I think people should really be careful of what they watch on flights for the first time, because you're like essentially a hostage in a tube full of farts. It colours, I think you're more prone to enjoy things.
Actually, the air recirculation in an is quite consistent. That's one thing.
You've never been on an aeroplane with me, mate.
Well, no, that's true. But I mean, wasn't it, that was the thing dispelled by COVID, because a lot of people were like, going on an airplane's a death sentence. It's like, no, it isn't, because actually the air gets recycled very quickly.
Better air, if anything.
So there you go.
There you go. I like Speed Racer. I quite enjoyed it as a live action cartoon. I thought, because I always heard it was dreadful, and I was kind of like, I'm going to watch the dreadful thing. I was kind of like, I quite liked that. That was a silly, fun, silly thing that I liked.
Look, I've nothing against them. I think the thing with them is like, I think they
came out very strong very early, didn't they?
They did, but I think they reach. They don't just do it easy. They don't.
True.
So for instance, it's
very,
like, all right,
very true.
They don't all land, but I'd almost rather that than just play it safe. Because I agree. They swing for the fences every time. There's no question. No question to it. Everything they've done has been bonkers, and you've got to. I mean, their first movie, Bound, with Gina Gershon and Jennifer Tilly, is kind of like a kind of crime romance thing, noir thing, and it's very low key, comparatively to the film about the kid whose little brother's friends with a monkey and he drives in a racing car competition on the moon or whatever. But it's a very kind of straight up sort of sapphic noir thing. It's cool. And then The Matrix comes along. It's kind of like, oh fuck, wow, look at this, look at all the cool things this is doing. And then it's going to be hard for them to recapture that, I think. They've produced a bunch of stuff on the way. This dude, so the house attack. Because this is it's just like, whoa, this film, fuck, Jesus Christ. Like, you're just not, even when you know what's coming, never ready for it. Because he does that kind of thing, that slightly Robocop thing, where he turns his back to the guy and shoots through the wall over his shoulder. And it's like, oh, it's like that, is it? Okay, we're doing crazy, crazy gunplay stuff. Yeah, but it never, I don't think it ever, I mean, that is against, the verisimilitude thing of it. I don't think it ever breaks its own logic. Oh, this is horrible, when he snaps the guy's neck on the kitchen counter.
It's very not nice.
Yeah. But it would be so tempting, wouldn't it, with Keanu Reeves to sort of do this crazy kung fu fucking...
it just kind of goes clank.
But it was so tempting to make it look all easy and that he's amazing. And it never does. Like, all the fights he walks away with some form of injury. Like, he never comes out of it pristine. Which is as it should be.
And things like this, because there's like, and the soundtrack, there's loads of breathing and gasping and struggling, and there's lots of struggling. There's loads of struggle, like on the. I made just sort of like ape noises, but people sort of like this, driving the fucking knife into the guy.
It's so laboured. But then that wouldn't it be like it's so fucking laboured.
That's why, because it's kind of, it focuses on a few kind of quite grisly realistic details, whilst also definitely taking place in sort of a hyper real world. I think it has its cake and eats it really well in that regard. In that it kind of it does.
Well, because its emotional heart is locked in, right? It's like we get it. He lost his wife. She sent him the dog.
Yeah.
Blah blah blah. And then we start finding out. I mean, the film sets itself up in that. It shows us the end first. Yeah, more or less, apart from the denouement, but it shows you how it's going to end, and then it starts revealing things to you, and that's its structure, right? You can't do that with sequels. That's obviously why the sequels are not what this is. But I think stylistically they are very kind of in lockstep with this. But I think this does that really great thing of kind of show. Here you go. It starts to just unveil things to you, because that way you're kind of on the journey with the protagonist, but you're not but you're behind the curve in most ways, but the emotional heart or the emotional story, you're on board with 100%, you know what I mean? So you're in lockstep with him on that, but everything else has to open up for, I think and that's brilliant storytelling, because it's kind of like you're never ahead of him, which you shouldn't be. Not really.
It was a very neat way to have, because quite often, and it's the easy thing to do, your audience surrogate is like, oh, I'm the naive young kid who's tagging along, or whatever to do. But it's done well. Yes, it's done well very, very often. But this, John knows everything. But what happens here is because he re-enters this world, we re-enter with him. And I've basically managed to uninvent what you just said, but he kind of.
But he's reticent, and that reticence is what helps to sort of, what would you say, dampen the influx of information. So it's kind of like it's not. He doesn't stroll into an office and sit down with Winston and exposit dump. It's like,
and they so easily could.
Yeah,
we've just had David Patrick Kelly from Commando and the Warriors come in. Sully said I'd kill you last. We are Val Verde after all.
Was it? Who was that?
He's the head of the cleaners, the old shrimpy guy.
Is he?
Yeah. He's
That's that guy.
David
That's
Patrick.
solid.
Warriors come out to play. Yeah, it's him. He turns up in strange places. David Patrick Kelly. But yeah, he's. It's definitely 30 years hence. You can see there he is. His little hat on.
Jesus Christ, he looks fucking ancient.
He really does. Yeah, I wonder if he was older when he's older than he looked when he was in stuff. Could be.
Oh yeah, God, yeah.
It's sort of like if Instagram had a Viggo Mortensen filter and you put it on Sully. That's what
Bad play to him. Oh, I didn't. I never clocked that, but good on him.
Yeah, I always surprised at the cast in these because I liked Ruby Rose was cool in the second one as the deaf assassin. You know, they sign to each other and stuff, and it's like, of course, John Wick knows sign language. John Wick knows all things. But yeah, she did very that was really charismatic performance done non-verbally. And these movies are about things being done non-verbally as well.
Yeah, it's almost like they're new, isn't it?
Yeah, right. Zombie.
Yeah. No, I mean, I agree. I think that worked really well. I mean, like I said, I think they've all worked really well. This is probably still my favourite one, but I think this one works the best. But as a trilogy, I think it's brilliant, and I'd be interested. I mean, they're doing a fourth one. We'll see.
Yeah, I kind of think again. I need to watch the third one. It got received very positively. I really like the second one. I might even watch it tomorrow actually, because Ivan wanted to put the third one on last week, and it was like, it's not anywhere, and 2's on Prime, or is it on Prime, right, or something?
Yes, yeah.
Right, so it's let me watch that one. But yeah, maybe I'll try to find it tomorrow because I'm away for the weekend. But yes, but even my point being, the one who's like not really that bothered. I am, but the fourth one I'm kind of like, don't do that, we're fine, we had 3 good ones, don't do more, you know what I mean?
I kind of look at it like, come on, it's a trilogy, we all talk about the trilogy, but no, it's gone. But don't get me wrong, like these, if you set it up as, look, these things are medium budget, they're $20-30 million, then why not have a series of them? That's fine. I sort of don't have a problem with it in a sense, but like you say, it's kind of like, have we not said everything yet? Like to do this guy. I mean, it could work out, that actually doing a series and having it be about the Continental is, maybe the way to go. If you need to do it, I mean, you don't. Just why not have a new idea? But no.
11th hour entry. The ghost of John Wick Spiegel is in the chat. Hello at work. Just wanted to say Duncan and Richie got to go laters. We name check. If you're watching this back, the Ghost of John Wick Spiegel, we did name check you earlier. It seemed weird you weren't here, and we're glad that you are. I'm in principle, I'm not against a Continental TV series, but it's one of these things like an idea isn't good enough. Really, you need to have a really fucking, because like if it's an anthology about wacky hijinks of assassins, and Winston is kind of like the Crypt Keeper type character in the middle of it. Yeah. I don't know. In theory, because I do think, I love the kind of crazy high chivalry of this, and its internal kind of rules and systems, and its themes, and it's like, cool, okay, I guess. But do you know what the bottom line is? You're always sort of just going like, don't fuck it up. It's like, don't fuck it up.
Yeah, like let's not turn this into a thing that was great once, but. I mean, because that just does seem to be what they do. Yeah. And it's a shame because you kind of go because it almost feels inevitable, and it's like, it doesn't have to be.
Diminishing returns are ultimately still returns, which causes.
Well, yeah, and I have no problem with that, but, you can, and don't get me wrong, like, obviously sequels and spin-offs don't destroy the original,
yeah,
in
of
a lot of
course,
ways, but,
of course.
They make me lose investment though. That's the problem, and I think that's. But whatever. The guy. So the what is he? The reception guy. Concierge. They're very good. He's in a lot of stuff. He's in The Guest.
He is in The Guest. Yeah, he's in all sorts of stuff. I like him. He's great. I like him in this. I like him particularly in this. In the second one, when he takes a liking to John's dog, I think it's a really lovely little scene.
He has a very upright, pronounced walk that he does in everything. He's in Bosch with Titus Welliver and all those guys. But he's he's Bosch's lieutenant, or commander or whatever they are, Mr. Wick. he's brilliant, but he's the face of the hotel, right? I know Winston is the face of the organisation, but he's the point of contact, and I love it. And he takes care of the dog, and he takes care of, like you said, and he takes care of, he's the sort of I
hated working in hotels, as I've said many times. However, being a concierge is kind of cool for that reason, because you get to be kind of like, well, good afternoon, welcome back, and you're there standing, because you have a desk, and like my boss was a proper cross keys concierge with his coat and his gold badge and stuff, and you get to be all kind of cool. That was one of the cooler things. Also, concierge was kind of a DOS. It's not the kind of horrific slave mill of the other departments. Being concierge is kind of like people ask you to get them things, and you arrange like stuff for them, and every now and then someone wants prostitutes and drugs, and you get in trouble for saying no to them, which is really, really funny. Isn't it? Hotel's great. It's kind of, I kind of get that. So that character, I'm sort of like, yeah, he's a cool concierge. Being a concierge was kind of cool. I don't mind that so much. Although I remember one guy coming up to me, one really cocky guy, just threw his car keys at me onto my desk and just went, park my car, and walked off. And I went, I can't do that, sir. And he just stormed back and goes, why not? And I went, I'm not insured, I don't have a license, and I can't drive. And then you should have done a Casino Royale, mate, and gone out there and fucking reversed it into a bunch of other cars. If I could see it and the other cars, I would have done. Yes, yeah. Completely unable. Please park my empty. Please take that empty space next to the curb and put it next to some other empty space. I'm going to glide off down the road. On my arse. Oh god. Yeah. There's Adrian Palicki as well. Fucking dude, this film is rammo with people. Jesus Christ. Yeah. What was she in? What was her most famous? She's done a bunch, because she was Wonder Woman in that pilot. She was in the pilot of Wonder Woman. She was in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. She's in that Seth MacFarlane Star Trek-y type thing. She's in tons. She's done so much stuff. She's done so much stuff. I feel like she's one that. She's really good in this too. Yeah, she's great. I'm a big fan. These are just so good at setting up all the other assassins. That's what I like. It's got a kind of slightly, G.I. Joe thing where they kind of roll them out with all their gimmicks and they do their thing. It's fucking cool. Yeah. The Orville, says James. That's the Star Trek-y thing. Oh, Winston, very stylish bit of silk scarf cravat work there. Bit of cravat, martini. Yeah. I love. I don't know fucking his whole kind of, because he's quite quite paternal as well. You know what I mean? And yeah. These people in the people in the Continental, they respect the craft and the people, and they respect just how dangerous Wick is, and they all handle him as such. But he follows the rules as well, and no business inside the hotel, and have a drink together and calm down and all that. Yeah, which is great. I mean, obviously we break that rule in the second one, and then in the third one is all about the consequences, and then I don't want to spoil it for you, so I'll try and watch it tomorrow if I can. That'd be dude. Dude, honestly, I mean, I think it's better than the second one. I don't think it's better than this, but I think it's better than the second one. But that again it's marginal, because I like all of them. I've watched the second one a bunch of times. I really enjoy it. That's not to say I don't like it. I just mean I think the third one's so better. But again, it does feel like quite the stunt reel, right? In a lot of ways. But it's in a great way, in a sort of way that doesn't quite outstay its welcome, and I find quite yeah. And the stakes are very high. I think they're good at doing that. That's one thing I'll say is sometimes it feels like we're getting into another fight here, but they managed to keep the stakes really high, which is really. I get, Again, only 2 steps up the ladder, the sense of escalation is really, really strongly handled and conveyed across it. Because that's the thing, I really loved the layout, because I saw John Wick 2 in the cinema actually, and I saw it before I saw this, I think. I can't remember, but I saw it in the cinema and I was kind of like, wow. And when it ended, I was kind of like, yeah, I want more. I love that whole, when they walk off and everyone's answering their phones, and you think probably the pigeons are even assassins as well. I was like, yeah, I want more. I really like what you've done. I love the sense of escalation. I will say the reason I like the second one more than I like the first one is just that it has a grander sense of scale. And I feel like, because as great as this is, there's a lot of people getting shot in warehouses and stuff, and I feel like in the kind of second and third act it gets a bit repetitive with its locations. And I found that a little bit repetitive, because the first half has all this stuff, there's loads of variety in it. We finally reached a part that looks a bit sort of like My Lighting. Whereas the second one, it had like the subway, and it had the homeless stuff, and it had the thing on the train, and the art gallery, and the Italian castle, and it just did all these things. And I don't know. Because, for example, on a somewhat similar note, I did not get the fuss around the raid. Did you see the raid?
No, I didn't. I saw Dread.
Yeah, right.
So,
the raid, look, I love that kind of stuff, and I'm a big John Woo fan, and I was kind of perhaps my problem was that I was too excited for the raid. The raid was really fucking repetitive, and everybody was like absolutely crazy about how good it was, and I was kind of like, it's fine, but like it's really quite repetitive. Like there's not a lot of variety in it, and then it turns out they have like a boss fight in a fridge at the end, and it's over. And it's like, yeah, it's very literal in its premise of they're going to go up the building. There's not much else to it. I haven't seen the second one. Whereas this, again, I find its location somewhat repetitive, but I don't think its action is. And this could be that. This could be deathly repetitive if you didn't handle it properly.
Well, I think, as these have played out, like this is the more intimate story. The second one is wider in scope, and the third one is wider in scope still, and so, I mean, I'm not saying the fourth one's going to go into space,
but it fucking better. I'm in if it does.
Yeah, the Moonraker of John Wick.
He has a laser now.
Yeah, but I mean, this is a personal story. At the end of it, what's at the heart of this is it's a personal. I mean, it's Death Wish. It's all that. It's the same thing.
It is very Death Wishy. I mean, it does. It has the premise of a kind of violent 1960s crime novel that they turn into a Charles Bronson movie, to be very on the nose, about the mechanic and Death Wish. And you can imagine the premise being handled differently. Because it's kind of like there's an original version of the Bourne Identity, and that's handled very much like what it is. It's a film of its era, whereas the modern Bourne film did something really different with the way it covered action and stuff like that, and made it very action orientated. So, you could see it as that. And particularly the stuff with his car and the money under his house and stuff feels like a kind of 80s, 70s Bronson-ish thing. But this is all hyper candy-coloured, super cinematography.
It's comic booky as well, it's got a graphic novel look to it.
Yeah,
as well.
Absolutely. And I think it's it looks like 2000s era comics very much so, yeah. It has that kind of painterly candy-coloured thing to it. And I do a lot of high contrast lighting in my stuff, as I've done today. But it's it's something I should diversify, because I didn't want to just
see. I love this economy of, so two figures. He's out of focus behind him now. We pull back focus to him after the guy takes the earwig out and all that. But I love the kind of like, again, that's you're being let into a world, but you're being let into a very concisely put thing. So it's like, he knew the bouncer on the door. It's like, and he's like, "Are you working tonight?" He's like, "Afraid so."
Yeah,
Takes the thing out, turns around, and he's just like, "Okay, I'm not going anyway."
Yeah.
Like but because there's always that delineation. It's the same thing with the cop, isn't it? It's like, "Are you working again?" No, but just had a bit of a whatever. And it's like, because they know if he goes yes, get out.
Yeah,
because
something's happening.
But if he wasn't working, that's different. So it's kind of like, he's a professional. That's
that's a great kind of. It's not often in screenwriting you kind of talk about a point of no return for the characters, and this has that when they kill his dog. But what this has is a point of no return for the audience, because when the cop asks him if he's working, it's like, oh shit, like really, it's like that, is it? Because you'd no hint of that. And any other movie would be kind of like, well, Mr. Wick, we know something's going on, finger wagging. This is kind of like, are you working, John? And it's like, oh fuck. You see, this stuff, they do it in this, a transition to a room that's red very often signifies hell and the inferno and everything, and they're doing that. Which is what we did for our film, isn't it, Duncan? Need it for our fun.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. Well, of course, and yes.
Yeah. Rough.
Oh fuck! And I need to put you. I need to do. I'm so sorry. I'm the hold up. I need to put you and Rob on an email chain.
Yeah, Rob. We have a rough cut for you to see, Rob. I know you're there in the thing. And Liam is composing the music as we speak.
Poor Rob has been sort of left in the dark with little breadcrumbs thrown at him on live streams, and I must really.
Yeah, if you set it up and me and Rob will get talking.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I need to. That's Sean. So Sean, who's the bald guy with the goatee, he and I shared an agent who's just been killed by John Wick.
I see him at the meetings.
Right.
The bald guy meetings. You see.
Right. Yes, of course. Yes. But do you remember I pointed him out when we were at a Comic-Con once? I said that guy's same agent as me.
I'm not sure.
And he was doing one of those things where he had his photograph over a thing and he was signing, charging people for autographs, and no one was there.
Oh man, well that's it in the celebrity zoo though, isn't it?
Which I felt awful, and I wanted to go and speak to him. I wanted to go say hey, and but I didn't. For whatever reason. But, yeah.
If you sell 10 in a day at 20 quid a pop, you've made 200 quid, I guess.
Fair play to him, and he's great. He's turned up. He's in The World Is Not Enough, and he's in loads of stuff.
He's done some shit.
Good on him. Like he's good for him. Nothing against that, but there you go. He's in that. Oh, here's the big dude with it. He just gets stabbed,
and he's in his speedo as well. It's great.
It's so undignified.
Look at the fucking.
Oh, there
it's like a borderline Rasputin, isn't it? Like the.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, I didn't think of that. Yeah, good point.
Because Wick has a code and stuff. Because he's done lots of terrible things. He was an assassin, but he has this. Again, I keep using the word chivalry, but it's the nearest kind of thing I can come up with to describe it. I'm not going to get too literal about the knight chivalrous code. I mean it in a broad sense. But it's nice. It's a nice way to describe a framework.
Film means it in a broad sense as well. But I do like that as well. That you do know that if he's not going to belabor the point, because you don't. When he finally kills the guy, spoilers later on, it's not done in a big way. It's just like he walks past it because he's been injured. He just walks up to him, pops him in the head, keeps walking.
Yeah.
Because and that's the thing there. It's like he nearly got him.
Yeah.
That's what's so well done. Is it's like it nearly happened, and it's kind of and then this fight here in the club as well is pretty fucking.
This is because again it's a staple gun thing, isn't it? Of like.
Yeah.
And also people just sort of keep going as well, because they do a similar thing in the second one when with the fight on the subway where they're shooting each other with silencers. It's like chup, 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 chup.
It's like silencers don't work like that. Like if you've ever watched, there's so many videos of hillbillies shooting silenced guns.
They're designed to they're supposed to make it so you don't know where the shot came from, not that this shot is.
And also to protect the shooter's ears. Yeah, that's what. Yeah. A lot of it. I love that. Like, oh fuck, quick! With the guy still going. Oh,
it's a great, that guy gets in the foot. It's so devious. Like, there's so many kind of like double tap type thing. That because he does all those kind of wrap ups and stuff, all those tackles. I don't know if anybody's done. So, for example, do you remember the movie Equilibrium? It had a very detailed gun cutter thing. So I don't believe anyone ever properly did a game of that, except somebody made a very involved Max Payne 2 mod that applied that mechanic, and it worked really well. The kind of gun cutter thing. It was really, really cool.
I love Max Payne 2 was fucking
what
great.
A game. 3's good. Did you ever play 3?
Yeah, I've got 3.
There you go.
Yeah, love
great
that as well. I know you look like.
Yeah. Oh, do you know what? For once in my fucking life, I wasn't actually going there. Which feels off. But it's like something wrong with it.
Well, because they used for 2 and 3, they used the guy who did the voice, right? But in the first one, they used one of the game devs' faces.
Yes, the first one is Sam Lake from Remedy, and sorry, I misheard you. Yeah, and the second and third one is the guy who did the voice. But in the third one, he's so aged you can barely tell it's him. Oh no, I think it might have been a different guy for the voice. It was a different guy for the voice, but they recast the same guy always did the voice, I think, and they recast.
They just used the actor who did the voice.
Yeah, they scanned his face.
Yeah, who looks in the second one looks a lot like Mel Gibson in Pay.
Right. Yeah, sure.
But what was I say? Yeah, so we started watching a series called The Rookie with Nathan Fillion recently, and I was like, why do I recognise that guy? And then I realised it's because he's the guy from Uncharted, right? who had a similar thing. I think they used his likeness or his voice.
Oh,
and then,
that's God. Yeah, he's a very, 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 very storied. Nolan North, is it? Does the voice in Uncharted?
I don't know. It's Nathan Fillion is the actor who.
Oh, I don't think he's. I think he's kind of based on Nathan Fillion, but I don't think he's actually the guy in Uncharted. I don't think.
Well, I say that because when I did, so I had to do I didn't get it, but I auditioned for a Sony a PlayStation advert or something where, oh yeah. So I had to audition thing, and I had to look like the guy from Uncharted,
right.
Which was Nathan Fillion. They sent us loads of reference photos of Nathan Fillion, so I figured that's
okay.
Which I don't really. That shot of him getting thrown off a fucking balcony.
No, the chat has our back. If that's what you saw, then that's what you saw, and I'm wrong. I don't have a PlayStation, so.
Yeah, no. Well, so I'm pretty sure. Yeah, that's. Well, anyway, I got sent all that stuff, and I was like, I don't really look like him. And then I remember being in the waiting room, and there was a guy in there who looked exactly like Nathan Fillion, and I think he got it because he looked like him. Which
right.
But I went in. They were getting us to do these sort of little action poses and stuff. But the guy said to me, he was like, "Have you done anything? Any ads or anything recently that would conflict with this?" Which is what they ask when you do advert casting. And I said, "Look, I did say this to my agent. I asked him to convey it to you, but I am in a PlayStation game that's due. Erica was due out like days later." And he went, "What is it? What is it?" And I said, "Well, it's called Erica. It's like a, it's a live action thing, but it's." And I explained the whole fucking thing. And then he went, "Are you recognisable in it?" And I went, "Yeah." I was like, "Yeah." And he went,
"No."
He was like, "What do you do?" I said, "I was second on the call sheet, mate. I'm like one of the main characters." He was like, "Oh, okay. Let's do this then." I was like, "What the fuck does that mean?" And I was like, "All right, I guess I'm not getting this job then." But it's like, because they film you saying that, if you went no, and then they found out you were in that, and it was a big deal.
Man, they've cast fucking, like, nothing against the kid, but they've cast Tom Holland in that role. Like in the movie that's actually happening. It's like, fair play to him, but he's like 22 or something. Like I'm
a big fan of Tom Holland.
Yeah, he's great.
But I do think that's a miscast. I think that's someone looking at it going, "We want to make this a franchise, so let's cast someone young." I Am Snorlax,
who is a kind of games master brain, has come in with the news. Nolan North did the games. Nathan Fillion did a fan film of Uncharted.
Oh, okay.
Because I think people always wanted Fillion to be Nathan Drake. I think that was people always wanted him in that role.
Oh, okay.
But there you go.
They sent me. All I know is they sent me a load of Nathan Fillion
because the character does look a fuckload like Nathan Fillion as well. Without question. Yeah. Well, fuck those guys. Fuck those guys. But unless they want to offer you work again, in which case, no, don't.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Who knows? I have no idea. I don't know. All you do is you try and be as upfront and honest as you can.
You don't want to be on tape lying. Yeah, of course not.
Well, you run into these weird scenarios where it's like, look, I've made this very clear to you. If you can't comprehend it or you're trying to be obtuse, that's your problem. It's like, are you recognisable? Yeah, I'm second on the call sheet. It's like, fine. It was almost like that, like I just said something in Russian.
Right.
It's like, what? Okay, I honestly don't think people think that you're going to walk into the room having had any past experience. It's like, I don't know. Who knows? I love that stuff, right? So Willem Dafoe, it looks like he misses, but he doesn't.
Yeah.
He clearly doesn't. He's warning him.
Yeah.
And it's like, there he is with a broken arm. Or wherever he's been shot or whatever, and he's got to see. I love this because it's such a great. This is a great fight too. This isn't one that people really talk about, but I think this is a really great thing as well. And then he drops her off with the other guy, who to babysit her or whatever. And when she dislocate her thumb so she can get out.
I think she does the kind of gross thumb pressy dislocation thing. This is great because again it's the struggle, and I really like Palicki, man. I think she's really charismatic performer. I think she's got chops, and I think she's good for this movie. I feel like she's someone who's waiting for a role because she's just done so much stuff, and it's like she needs to be like, because she's not going to be like break out in a Marvel film now because she was in the Marvel TV show that nobody liked. Stuff like that. So, and
it's a shame about because not that I saw any of it, but obviously I saw her in costume for the Wonder Woman thing, and it's like, it's a shame that didn't work out. And
yeah, if I remember correctly, that was done by David E. Kelly, who did Ally McBeal or something. It's supposed to be dreadful, and she looked great in that outfit, right? She looked really cool.
Yeah,
but it's supposed to be completely dreadful. It's a shame. Oh, they just destroyed a flat panel. Shame.
Yeah. I'm looking at getting a new TV, actually.
I was thinking about
that. I don't want that one.
Get it from a prop auction.
My friend, who was it? My friend who said about I think it was I can't remember who it was now. So he was a fight choreographer, and he said like one thing he's like, a lot of what they teach you in martial arts and stuff that he wishes they did more of was like just grabbing someone's face. And he was like, because it's one of the things that like no one ever does, but it's like, that's the best way. If you can get someone's head and like get their face and completely disorientate them and throw them around. If you throw someone by their head, basically,
they don't expect it, right? They're not.
They can't do anything about it because wherever their head goes, they follow pretty much. I mean, obviously they'll try and fight you, but it's like he was like, we should do more of that. But they kind of do it there because he just wraps the sheet around her head and then
he turns her into a scary ghost.
Exactly.
Something you don't really see, and it's something you don't see, and I'm fine with that. But quite often when someone's kind of pinned down and their hands are free, they don't just like jab their attacker in the eyes with both fingers. And it's like, I'm fine not seeing it. Because there's that bit in 28 Days Later, you know, when he puts his thumbs in his eyes and his eyelids are like wrapped over his knuckles for that close up. It's just like, oh. And the thing is, like, I'm less squeamish than most because I've had lots of, I have to have lots of invasive procedures done on my eyes basically because of how fucked they are. So I don't care. But no one likes thumbs in the eyes. Like, come on.
But it's kind of like, it's the same thing with when a man, you know, when it's like the single guy takes on the room full of highly trained assassins or fighters or whatever, and they all attack one by one.
Yes, they form an orderly queue or stand in a circle.
Didn't say team player on the application. Then no, it's kind of like, well, if you all just mob them, probably work out.
Your turn.
Well,
I like that. Unfortunately, it's all part of the rubbery rubbish CGI. But it is Keanu. Do you remember when all those Agent Smith clones kind of dome around him and he shrugs them off? And it's kind of cool when they all fly off and stuff. But yeah, nobody ever fucking does that. It's kind of like, I'm gonna wait here rubbing this lead pipe until it's my turn.
Or as in the case of The Dark Knight Rises, just fall over without being touched.
I mean, if I was hired to fight Batman, I'd probably do that as well. Just, oh no, he got me.
There's so many things in that film where I go, this wasn't finished, was it?
It's like, mad, isn't it?
You know when they walk in the stock exchange and they fire an Uzi in the air, there's no muzzle flash from the gun at all, and there's all these like bullet pings and stuff going off stuff, and I go, did you forget to add the muzzle flash? I'm
not just being lazy with this, but I shoot a priest, motherfucker. I cite the I would cite the Bane kind of muffly sound thing as another example of it's not finished, but that appears to be a repeating issue.
They they did that thing where it was like, what was that? They did it with The Dark Knight. They did it with I Am Legend. They released the first. In IMAX screenings, they released the first 10 minutes. They released basically up until the Joker heist.
Oh, of course, I remember. Yeah.
And then the same thing with Dark Knight Rises. They did the opening heist for a film, whatever it was, but in IMAX. So if you went to the IMAX screening of X, you would get the first 5-10 minutes of The Dark Knight Rises. And obviously people took phones in and recorded it, so there's lots of examples of how they changed the Bane dialogue. So they obviously went back in ADR and got him to redo a lot of the lines, because they're completely different, and they're the same take. So you can tell it's the same take, but it's differently mixed in different dialogue, because it was apparently in that clip preview, it was incredibly hard to understand what the fuck was going on. Right. So yeah, I mean, it was
that film, because a lot about it. I don't think Nolan's heart's in it. I don't think he really wanted to do it, but I dare say, you got to have a trilogy, and they probably offered him some spectacular amount of money, and once he did it, because you don't want to fall out with Warner Brothers, I suppose, and all this number
it's one of those things where I go like, there are worse ways, and I like the fact that it is not what most people would do with the final act of a Batman trilogy, but it's not great.
You can't call it predictable. I don't think anyone's going to be in a hurry to call it predictable.
But this sort of thing, this unholy marriage, it's a tale of two cities and whatever the other thing was, and it was just like, okay.
Yeah, all that stuff, when it really kicked off and it's like a global incident, it's like, what the fuck is going on? Like, how is this a Batman film? This feels like...
Yeah, and it's kind of like... And it isn't, because people have done... Because, of course, they have, because of the internet. They've done, like, studies where it's like, it has the... It's something like...
Oh, she just did her thumb...
Oh, yeah, so that... It's something like 12 point something percent. It has the least amount of Batman by percentage in it than any other film.
Right. Okay. Yeah, because he goes away for the whole second act, more or less, doesn't he? Like he goes on holiday.
So even in the first act, because he's just sort of Howard Hughesing it up in his fucking...
all of that stuff. Like, I remember in the cinema watching that when he was introduced as that, I was like, oh, this is going to be quite miserable, isn't it? Oh no, like it's... I'll tell you what I watched the other day. Ivan and I, for some reason, watched London Has Fallen. Don't know why. I put it on for a laugh and ended up watching all of it. That felt like a Christopher Nolan Batman film if it was written and directed by a hammer. It's the only way I can describe. Because it certainly wanted a lot of those things, but was also one of the most thunderously dumb films I've ever seen. Which kind of made it brilliant, though, at the same time. But it's sort of...
Well, I guess that's what they trade on, isn't it? I think I saw some of it. Because I think my wife watched a bunch of it.
Does she like a bit of Jerry Butler?
She does. She does like a bit of Jerry Butler.
I watched I watched Greenland, the Meteor movie that he did recently, that went to Netflix.
Oh yeah.
It was actually really good. Like, because
I'm nothing against the guy. Like
but he's done. I wouldn't say he lends his name to quality product. Is what I'm trying to say. Hey, look.
Hey, who are you talking to?
Hey, look. I'm just saying.
I'm in your film.
Yeah, exactly. The dog meat of the film business, not the high end. I mean, I wouldn't call London Has Fallen champagne. I mean, if they made a slightly more upmarket version of Lambrini, I'd probably call it that. But no, the product doesn't exist in the market for me to compare it to currently.
It's hardly champagne to the Type 2 You Bleed lager, is it?
The Type 2 You Bleed.
That's an odd comparison.
The tepid Tesco lager of Type 2 You Bleed.
The Tesco value non-alcoholic lager.
But two dented tins away from the 4-ring can that have been reduced.
Quite.
Because the other two bloated and exploded over the shop floor. So
when a tramp rocked into the...
These are the reviews. These are the reviews are in. The film's not out.
That's a really great... There's something this film does as well, which is sort of... It's clearly stitched together with CGI, but it's like the bit where he gets thrown off the balcony and that bit there where the car just smashes him out of the frame.
Yeah.
And it's like, and it's covered well because it's like, okay, you just, all you need him to do is exit frame. You don't need a continuous thing. Oh, what was it? I showed the Michael B. Jordan Netflix.
Oh, the Tom Clancy thing.
Tom Clancy thing, yeah. Oh no, it'd be Prime, of course, because
all things Clancy.
Prime has Tom. Yeah, indeed, and it does tie up to Jack Ryan in a sort of loose way because the daughter of Greer. Is anyway.
Wait. Is it in the current Jack Ryan universe? This movie?
Well, it could be.
Right.
It doesn't.
Okay, it's not explicit. Okay.
Say that it is, but because he talks about Greer as her father, and that's we just have a scene with Guy Pearce talking to her about blah blah blah, and that's it. But it's well done. But it was really good. I enjoyed it. I think the ending was a bit weak. I think they kind of went a bit like, he'll be back or whatever at the end, and it was a bit like, oh, cool. But I've obviously anything Michael B. Jordan I find intensely charismatic and interesting, and
Creed,
I think he's really good in it.
Creed all day long.
And he's just a fucking he's an unsung hero of a lot of stuff. Like, he did Fant Four Stick, which I feel really bad for him for.
Yeah,
but then he's
because he was really good pals with Josh Trank. Because they were mates. Like I read a really sad interview with him about Fantastic Four, and he's like, "Look, we were mates and we're not now, and it's because of that." Which I hope they've patched that up. Though I'm one to say
he's. But I mean, no, but he's. I love him to bits. I think he's fantastic and all that good stuff. And he's really great in that. And it's a good film, and I would definitely recommend checking it out.
Without remorse, says the chap.
Without remorse, thank you. That's them. So, I was talking about that because of reasons that I can't remember. What did you say before? No,
I think it's gone for me. Is it? Hey, look, there's something that I brought up something earlier that I meant to finish, but we went off on a tangent, so I'll bring it back. I'm not aware of anybody. I don't think there is, and mobile games can fuck off. I don't think anyone's made the John Wick combat game. I mean that someone could have done an off-brand one, because like I was trying to say with the mod for Max Payne 2 with Equilibrium, off-brand one. Mm-hmm. But you could do it like remember what was fun when the Arkham games first came out was that it wasn't some involved sophisticated Street Fighter thing. You just had to know it was reactive and you could bounce around the enemies and stuff. And I suppose if you had the John Wick game, you could lock to an enemy and staple gun their face and shoot them in the foot and work your way through.
It's like Assassin's Creed was the kind of parkour game, except it had that Assassin's thing going on. Yeah, no, absolutely.
There's a game called My Friend Pedro, which Total Flipper brought up, which is kind of a cool slow motion gunfighty game. I'm not sure how John Wicky it is though. If I'm honest.
I love the way he does that. He goes, "Baba," in his face. And the subtitles really suck as well because they randomly just come up and it's like the
yeah, and they emphasize words because they do some of that with Ruby Rose and Wick in the second one because see you later, not if I see you first, and I think the certain words are sort of bigger and smaller.
Of course, yeah. I think they lose it in the third one. I don't think they do it in the third one.
I do like a bit of inventive subtitling because the Night Watch movies did that when they released in the West. They did kind of fun stuff with the subtitles, which is nice.
This is the I haven't really had an answer, but I'm thinking,
I'm back. Oh, bless him. He's fucking great, man. He's so cool.
And it's like this. It's like they put him in an insanely compromised situation with the two heavies, right? And it's just like, look, and this is the great thing about the series. It's like he always, he wins. But he's put in situations where you're like, there's no fucking way he could get out of that.
What I like,
and then the way he gets out of it is like believable, which is
it's hard won. I think going back to your point of earlier, there's always laborious struggle, so he doesn't just shrug it off. Certain characters just shrug it off. Because Commando is wonderful. It's a wonderful film and we love it. But like John Matrix is never in any danger whatsoever. Like
we love Roger Moore, right? But it's not like he was ever fucking in danger of. Yeah.
He's not the one who's going to get hit in the bollocks with a bar of soap or whatever. He's not that guy.
Yeah, like this stuff. Obviously, it's a rematch between Neo and Agent Johnson. But it's like he pulls moves that John Wick would pull, right?
Right.
It's just, and you get the impression that it's purely like it's not luck, but it's like pure. They're going through. It's rudimentary. It's like they're just going through motions, and it's like whoever sort of manages to get. It's like chess. Whoever gets a few steps ahead wins.
And there's a big emphasis on like it is just work. There's nothing personal. Because they do that brilliantly. I can't remember the character, but the black guy that he's fighting against in the end of 2, who does a subway fight, and then they crash through the window, and it's like you can't fight in here.
It's common.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, the actor.
Yeah, actor's name. Yeah, from like Terminator Salvation and stuff.
Yes.
He. They have to like have their little chat over a drink, and they get told off. But it is just work, ultimately. And sometimes they can drop it, and it's between him and Alfie Allen, and these guys are just in the way. And
but the point is that again, the inciting incident of this film is. It's not work. It's the crossing of the line.
Oh, what I mean is everyone between him and...
No, I get it. I totally get what you mean, but it's like the point of this series is the blurring of the personal and the business. This idea that, it's just business, and it's like...
And he was out.
It's not.
He was out. They brought it to him. He was fine. He was retired. It was all over. And even with his wife dead, he didn't... Because he could have just gone back to making money being a killer, but he didn't.
Well, it's circumstance, but then it has that sort of deterministic thing of like, but it was chance that happened.
Yeah.
Because they do that thing of like he didn't know his son, right? I think there's some dialogue. Forgive me because it's been a while since I watched this, but I think there's dialogue in there about how he didn't know his son. So he didn't know when he turned up at the gas station and wanted to buy his car, and that's the whole thing. And you could argue that it's John Wick's fault for being confrontational, although he had every right to be. But it's a sort of yeah.
Oh, like you said earlier, it very much has the backbone of your kind of 70s revenge thriller. I think all of its layups. If the plot, this is one of these movies that luckily we all know John Wick. If this was the exact same movie, didn't make any money, and then on Netflix it's like an assassin's dog is killed and he comes out of retirement, you would skip over it. You would go like, that sounds, you can't sum it up in a sentence, like, or at least
especially if it starred some cunt like me.
No, I'm saying the exact same movie.
It's Keanu Reeves. It's Keanu Reeves, man.
Mate, Keanu Reeves come out for Keanu. Yeah, we come out for Keanu, but Keanu Reeves has done a lot of stuff that people do not come out for. Is all I'm saying.
That's fair. It does seem like when he gets his name attached to a license, then it works. But when he's sort of in something that isn't, what was the thing where it was Ana de Armas? When he's like he's just Mann at home and two chicks show up and...
sure. I heard about this, yeah.
It was good. We watched that. It was good. He was great in that as well. But that felt like a very sort of concept-laden, low-budget, whatever, which is fine. Yeah, obviously nothing wrong with that. But it's weird. It's funny because he sort of straddled the line. I think most of he does satellite projects and then he does his... Which, dude, that's the dream. I wouldn't say that was a bad. No,
not
path.
at all. He does. That's what adds to the kind of cool mystery of cool Keanu Reeves is he does just sort of do what he likes, and he does stuff he wants to do. He kind of bops around and sort of does.
Nick Cage does the same.
Absolutely agree. Mm-hmm. Do you know what? And because Nick Cage is a bit of a better example. But Nicolas Cage can bounce from I don't mean to offend, but he could do he's done some really wonky straight to video crap. He's done some really high quality, excellent straight to video movies. He's done blockbuster crap and blockbuster excellent movies. And it doesn't affect his career trajectory at all. Someone like Bruce Willis, and from what we've both heard firsthand, that Nick Cage is really fucking great to work with. Yeah. I have not heard this firsthand, but we know the rumours. Bruce Willis is supposed to not be that. Bruce Willis has worked on loads of straight-to-video crap, and he doesn't have the same good career because he makes himself hard to be on set with, and people pay to put him on. I've heard that firsthand as well. Yeah. Oh, there you go then. There you go. And
see, look at this. Look, here's the revenge kill, and it's just done it's just a fucking bum.
That's it. Doesn't mean shit. Like, it's done now. So he's not going to torture him. You made my dog dead. I'm making you dead.
Yeah, and I think that's really well. I think that's really well done. I still am trying to work out why I brought up that film.
Go on, the Michael B. Jordan film, the
whatever it was called,
Without Remorse.
Without Remorse. Why did I bring that up? Again, a similar thing where it was like a man has his wife. His pregnant wife is killed, so he loses everything and blah blah.
Oh, is that the layup to that movie?
That's the layup. That's the sort of inciting incident. He's a sort of special forces guy and everything. Very worth checking out. I'm trying to think why the fuck I brought it up. It was in response to something you said. That's why I'm like, why that was really relevant. And now
you're going to spin back into the stream later and just kick yourself.
I am, yeah.
Unless you get it, which you will, because I have faith.
It'll come back.
You can do it.
But I just, I recommend it. Like, I definitely recommend it if you're sort of. It's in the vein of something like this, and it has a similar sort of visceral action and.
I like a bit of Mickey B. Mickey B. Jordan.
Yeah, man, and he's look. I don't think I've seen. Apart from Frank Forstick, I don't think. And he was good in it. It's not.
Yeah, he was really well cast as Johnny Blaze. I thought he did the kind of nice cocky thing. Yeah. But it was just that movie. Fucking. Don't even. It's not even. Let's not get back into that for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
We've done that.
But anyway, sorry.
I don't know.
What are you gonna do? Hey, what are you gonna fucking do? Hey, show it.
Oh yes, it was because Richard talked about Greenland, the Jerry Butler movie on Prime. I was just saying it's a really good movie. It had every reason not to be good. Mark Kermode's review said it was good, so I was like, oh, weird. I watched it. It's a really realistic ground level version of the apocalypse, or a kind of. It's not about that. It's about the collapse of a society covered in a kind of very Paul Greengrassy way, and I thought it was a really cool movie. And I don't know how that got. So that's on Prime or that was on Netflix, I think.
Oh, we watched that. I think we watched it actually.
It's him and Miranda Baccarin. This is his wife, and yeah.
Yeah, isn't there a thing where you get on? That's right. Yeah, he ends up on a list to be saved.
Yeah, but they won't have his son because his son's diabetic and stuff. Yeah,
sorry. Yeah, we did watch that, and I agree with you. I think it's the bit of Independence Day or Deep Impact or whatever,
but done from the ground level. It's done from the ground level.
Second act of those films. Yeah, it was fine. I mean, it was
because what I liked about those movies are cameras from the sky, big sweeping international discussions. You know, the halls of power. All those movies have those things. And Greenland was about just one family on the road. You know, it never kind of stepped its scale up, and you got to see society collapse from a really small perspective, which I really, really liked how, because it could so easily just be another Deep Impact or whatever. I really, really liked how it handled that.
Can I just, I need to give a shout out to TGV, because I give you, so I did, you know, I said I did a voiceover for a watch company for something that he produced for them, and he very kindly got them to send me, this was a limited edition watch that I was doing a voiceover for, and it sold out in 48 hours, but they kept me one and they sent it to me, and I just wanted to show it there, but more importantly to say thank you to him for doing that, and we're going to do some more stuff for them later in the year, I think, and which I'm very excited about. But yeah, they're called Squale, which is shark in Italian. They're a sort of Italian-owned Swiss brand, and it's a pretty cool, substantial diving watch that came in this awesome, I think I've got it here, this awesome case, because it's like a Galeazzi, or Dras Galeazzi is the sort of diving equipment manufacturer in Italy, a very premium. So anyway, sorry, I just wanted to give him a shout out.
Because TGV gave me once the Marty McFly Casio calculator watch. Which I
me
thought
too,
was behind me, but it's not. But thank you very much.
Very kindly sent. And I also have the. He's such a sweet guy. He sent me a DB5 as well, model DB5. Not an actual DB5, though that would have been cool. No, he's a gentleman and a scholar, and I'm hugely honoured to obviously be part of the brand and do all that stuff. Brand ambassador. Alan Partridge.
I'm wearing a Fitbit with a £15 strap from Amazon that has a Star Trek: The Next Generation desktop theme.
Also good. No, I feel very privileged and lucky. And
we do have a lot of watch fans in our, because you know, horology is not really my thing, but we have a lot of watch fans in our chats and in our followers.
I'm very excited because I have it on the grapevine. So I actually I had a Tudor. For those of you here, actually, Angelo will be most disappointed to learn that I sold my Tudor Black Bay 58 yesterday. It went to a new owner, but it's in preparation for something very special coming in that I am on the waiting list for, but is a sort of grail watch of mine that I'm very excited about. So we'll see when that lands. Yes, watches and so forth.
Hey,
I'm into.
Hey,
it's my thing.
You've been doing work. I was thinking about getting into flipping trainers. I like my trainers, obviously. Don't know. I know someone who flips trainers. I've been thinking about that because I've got I have my sort of trainer rack in my line, and I've got 5 pairs of white high tops of different scores, and then I've got my Nike Vandals at the top. But I really want to get some Jordan 1s, man, but then I'd never wear them. But then I've been looking at the market for Jordan 1s, and if you skip up a pair of cheap Jordan 1s, if you get lucky, you can flip them for decent money. I don't know.
I've made money on every watch I've bought. Obviously some I have kept, so I can't, but they are all now worth more than what I paid for them. So I think if I don't think people should get into it for that. I think you should get into it because you love the thing. But if it's a thing you particularly love, and you can buy things that accrue value, fuck yeah.
I've got Wing Kong Exchange, which I like a lot. It's not that kind of watch party. Heyo.
Very
good stuff. So someone else said, "Welcome to the watch party." I'm into it.
Well, there you go. I just wanted to
fine to join in.
Fine to join in. I just wanted to express my gratitude, and TGV is a big supporter of our channel, and he named us as his number one favourite YouTube channel. So I think this is so matter of fact as well. It's like, you are excommunicado, and someone just shoots her in the head. Well, your whatever is revoked, and they're just like,
is it like your membership is revoked or something?
That's it. Yeah.
I love these shots, by the way, kind of scene geometry. Because they did it in the church as well. You've got that lovely horizon line. The camera is placed perfectly. There's a ton of to get into cinematography talk. Lots and lots and lots of wides, very wide. I think it's anamorphic format. I'm pretty certain, but like it's wide as shit. Like and there is a bit. Val Verdians would be delighted to hear that there is a barrel effect visible in owing to the super wide glass used.
The other thing I need to talk about, because I think I saw people mention it in the chat earlier, is the Amazon buying MGM thing.
Oh, yeah. Would you mind? I'm just gonna get some more water, because I think you've got a lot to talk about, and we'll talk about that. But you can tee it up.
I need a wee after that, so that's all good. He didn't hear that, but there you go. I said wee. So the MGM, obviously, MGM have been bought by Amazon for $8.65 billion or whatever it is. And whilst that means an awful lot about the back catalogue, much in the same way as Disney buying Fox, that has wider implications for them. Obviously, people want to know what I think about that as it pertains to the Bond franchise, which is, of course, partially owned by MGM. The thing for me with that is I don't think, and I know that Eon have put out a statement to the same sort of effect, but I mean, my thing with that is that it's not going to change how those films are controlled and how they're made. They don't own a controlling stake in it. They basically get to profit from the Bond franchise. The Bond franchise, bear in mind, is one of the most profitable film franchises in the world. That's why they have endorsement deals and all sorts of crazy stuff going on. I mean, basically, Eon fund their half of it by going out to the likes of Amiga, Sony, et al., and doing product placement deals. And then MGM or United Artists or Sony at one point would put up the rest of the money, and then they would get to profit from the proceeds. So it's not, but the controlling stake is with Eon and Danjaq, who are the legal financial company who own the rights. So it's not. I just think it's a new benefactor. It always has been. It's been the same thing all the way down the line with Sony. If you look at the start of Quantum of Solace and Casino Royale, it's sort of Columbia TriStar Sony stuff on the front end, and these are just the financiers who are involved with it. I don't think it's going to make a blind bit of difference. What might happen, and what I'm quite excited for, because ITV have sort of had a stranglehold on the Bond franchise in the UK, is that we might, whenever that expires, we might finally see the Bond back catalogue come to Amazon Prime here, which I believe it has done in the States already, but it should come here, which would be nice. So for me, it's win-win, and I think it will mean that they get funded, and we might actually get films in a more reasonable fashion. But bearing in mind, I don't believe that Babs or Barbara Broccoli and Michael G. Wilson will allow their controlling stake to be altered in any way, which means they will have to still strike all the deals and still get their end of the finance sorted before things can happen. And then MGM, Amazon will still get the distribution rights for their turf, and they will get to profit from it. So I genuinely don't think it's going to make much of a difference. Like all the that side of it came about because Harry Saltzman got into debt and had to get out of the franchise, basically, which is, it was happening around Man with the Golden Gun was his last film. He and Tony Broccoli co-done that, and then he had to get out because he was in debt, and he'd had a lot of failed business opportunities or business ventures, and so he had to sell his stake in it, which is why it's ended up in these sort of financial wildernesses for a while. But I think this is just another one, but I think it's just all right, so it's probably going to stay with Amazon for a while, but I don't think it's going to make a blind bit of difference to how that shakes down. So there you go. That's my take on it. I think it's probably nothing to see here, really, but it is interesting, and it should hopefully shore things up for the foreseeable.
Well, I'm just going to read out a quick super chat, but then I have some points there. You're wrong. No, I'm not saying that at all. Wick Exchange gives another £5. Thank you very much. Didn't mean to offend Duncan on the watch front, by the way. Also, on a Defoe tangent, can't wait for VBV's The Lighthouse remake, or failing that, a watch party. I haven't watched it yet. I need to watch it.
I'm terribly sorry if I seemed offended. I didn't mean it to. The Lighthouse, I started watching. I haven't finished, but I really liked it.
It looks cool. It looks really cool.
It's great.
I'm really kind of into it. Regards to Amazon and MGM, that does include, of course. I mean, like you're saying with Eon, they still control Bond. It's just, it's.
I don't think make any difference.
Yeah, I can't see it. RoboCop comes under that. It's whether anyone's in any hurry. Rocky as well, and that is technically a going concern, because Michael. I want to bring it around to just say Michael B. Jordan is supposed to be directing Creed 3, which I am absolutely, because Stallone directed a bunch of the Rocky movies. That's absolutely in keeping with Rocky. I'd be really interested to see his, I think the directors, Michael B. Jordan has been working since a kid, like on The Wire, and he's worked with like a number of phenomenal directors, most notably like Ryan Coogler on the first that of those, and Black Panther. So I'd be really interested to see what happens there. But I don't think in terms of I think people have got this idea that Bond's suddenly going to be like a Marvel thing where there's a new Bond every 2 years or whatever, and I wouldn't hold your breath for that.
It used to be. I mean, it used to be back in the day. There was a Bond every 1 years. Every year. So I think that the problem has been is that the Bond films used to be a relatively low budget dealio. They made money way above their budget. I love this fight, by the way. Sorry, the fight in the rain. It's reminiscent of the Matrix Revolutions, but it is. It's done so well because it's that thing of you see John Wick up against someone who can't actually fight.
Yeah.
He starts pulling all the moves on him, and then he's like, "What am I doing? What is this?" And then he allows him to stab him. And it's kind of like it's a really, it's him facing a part of himself more than it is him facing, the literal character of Michael Nyqvist's character. It's not. It's him facing off against an embodiment of something about himself, rather than is what I'm trying to say. Yeah. Anyway, what were we talking about? MGM.
No, just on that note, fights in the rain. Quite often in fight choreography, it's the old trick if you put a bit of dust on someone's jacket and then you whack them and the dust flies off. And in rain, you get that great effect, obviously, of big splashes of rain coming around when you whack someone, and it looks good. And they do it in the Matrix movies. In Matrix Revolutions, like you can follow the arc of a fist or a foot by the way it cuts through the rain, which just adds that kind of just visual oomph. It must be. Have you ever? The whole idea. Of even the great thing, like if you're directing a scene in the rain, you're probably under an umbrella. If you're acting in a scene in the rain, go fuck yourself. You're getting wet.
I have worked in with rain effects, yes, and it is because rain doesn't look like rain on camera, and that is a particularly hard thing to do as well because you've got a dock with the sea, so you've got to see the effects of the rain on the ocean as well. It can't just be what's falling in front of the camera, and I did. It was that ad I did with Danny Cohen, who was a cinematographer. Do you remember I said about? He was cinematographer on King's Speech. And,
yes. Yeah, I do remember we talked about it a couple of weeks ago. Les
Mis and stuff. Anyway, he shot that, and we had a rain effect on that, and that was a giant fire truck, basically Bowser, pumping rain through a bunch of things that were set up on the street. And it was done. It was like the heaviest rain you've ever. It was like a big shower, because it doesn't show up on camera. Otherwise, you can't see it. Yeah. So, and they filmed that on 35mm film, which was ridiculous. So I have worked with the rain affecting before, and it's cool. But it is to do a whole fight choreography thing in it is miserable. To have to and more than that, to do it at night on a dock over presumably several nights with precious little sleep. Fuck that noise, because that sounds awful.
It's pretty fucking miserable, yeah.
But you're creating something. I mean, the thing for me is just like whenever it's like Mark will tell you, when we did Fistful of Lead, there was some stuff in that was mighty uncomfortable.
Laying around in a freezing mine, right? That's
laying around in a freezing mine, laying around in a freezing ground, in the snow and all that shit. But you do it, and look, I'm going to suffer. I'm probably going to get ill. It's not going to be pleasant. But in a couple of months' time, when I look back on it, you created a cool image, and you're fine. You look at it and you go, that looks fucking awesome. That's the juice. Is when you created something cool. I'm not saying that I like watching my shit back or anything, but I think if I would think of that if I was Keanu Reeves, for example, in that I'd be like, that's gonna look fucking cool.
Yeah, right.
So whatever.
The only reason you weren't lying around in a pool of actual blood in our film is because I predicted it would slow things down and we didn't have time for it. Because I was totally up for putting you in it. I've still got your Duncan, bless him, made homemade blood, but we didn't have time.
I did, yeah.
It would got schmutz everywhere. You've been lying around in it. We wouldn't have got it off you, so it needs to be added afterwards, basically. And it wasn't. Wrong. It wasn't. It wasn't out of any concern for your well-being or comfort. I just want everyone to know that.
Fuck that noise. No, I mean I don't think people should. I don't. And the idea that you can go to work as an actor and be comfortable is ludicrous. And there's gross overtures made in the acting industry towards sort of inclusion and comfort and all this sort of stuff. And it's like reality is it's a horrible job. In a sense, you are. I have broken bones on sets. I have been in freezing cold. I've been
bones on sets.
I've broken ribs on stuff on small films I wasn't particularly well remunerated, or not at all remunerated for. But such was my dedication. But and actually, it's usually those kind of films when you do injure yourself because there isn't any budget to kind of provide safeguards, and then it's like, what do? Do you complain? It's not like BAFTA are going to shut them down, is it? So, and you didn't do it for that. So, no, I mean, you just soldier on. I've received injuries on stuff, but I'm fine. I'm not dead, so who gives a shit? It's like I've never been in a situation where I could be dead. Which is dangerous, like in that regard. But I on Erica, I injured myself doing the fight stuff, which doesn't look like much at all when you watch it back. It's like, eh. But that was a day of, it was 2 days really, because we did the rehearsal and then we did the fight day, and it was a lot of me throwing myself on the floor and picking up and grabbing Holly, who played Erica, and getting sliced with a knife or getting whatever, and it was just like very physical. And this thing I'm going on to eventually, that's in a similar mold, is, having read the script a bunch of times, it's going to be very physical as well. But I love it. I know I'm going to do that and it's going to hurt and I'm going to feel like giving up. And I'm going to be like, fuck this. And
it's getting the shot there, isn't it? It looks cool, like you say.
But it's going to be, it's just such a fucking cool opportunity to make cool looking shit. And so it's like, yeah, you feel all those things, but you kind of go, yeah, but
who gets to say they done that,
Scott said that. Scott Atkins said that to me, honestly, because the night I was on Accident Man, that was the last day of shooting. That was it. That was the wrap day, and he said to me, I was very fortunate. I had some downtime because we were both getting changed. We were the last two actors out the door, and we were getting changed in the costume trailer together. Just no one around. Sounds homoerotic. But he, bless him, he was just like, dude, I'm fucking knackered. Like, as we were getting changed, he was just like, goes, oh god, he was just like, I am sick as a dog. And I was like, why? And he was just like, I think I got like a cold or the flu about 3 days into this, and I've just been fucked the whole way through. And I was like, mate, I'm so sorry. So it tends to happen to me, but usually at the end of whatever I'm doing. So it did happen to me on Fistful of Lead. I got really ill in the last couple of days, and then obviously when I got home I was really ill. But it was, most of it I was fine. And he was like, he goes, I always get ill. Because the thing is, he's fine. When you look at Scott Adkins, man, he's throwing himself around through things,
he
on
goes
things.
through it, mate. Like,
bearing in mind, Accident Man was all about him, Michael Jai White, what's his name, Ray Parks, like all these crazy fights, and it was a real show. And it's Jesse Johnson, man, like directing, and it's just like they're coming together of all these crazy fucking things. And it's about an assassin, and it's all about, and it's similar to John Wick, it's an assassin who ends up being targeted for assassination by assassins.
Based on a Pat Mills comic.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy fight shit, right? So it's kind of like, but done relatively low budget. So it was just like, he threw himself at it. And I kind of looked at it and I was just like, yeah, I get it. You just do it. It doesn't matter what the budget is. If you've got a nice trailer to go to or whatever, you're still going to feel it. But that's the gig, and you get to look back on this awesome thing you created. That's really cool. So I'm sure that's true of Keanu Reeves as well. I mean, he would not have walked away from this or any of the others.
Keanu Reeves doesn't have to work. Keanu Reeves, if anything, he actually gives money. He's known for giving a lot of money away.
He gave it away on Matrix, didn't he? He gave a load away.
He gave he gave motorcycles to the stunt team and stuff. Like he does it. He clearly does it because he loves it. And he just seems like this kind of gentle soul. I'll go into bat for fucking Keanu any day of the week. Not that I need to. The internet loves him, but yeah, he doesn't need to do it. Someone like I think you said earlier. We were talking earlier about like Keanu Reeves has like this. People criticize his perhaps his deliveries and stuff like that, but he has this amazing physicality, right? Like he's this amazing physical performer, and I think what you said earlier is like any other film would have him going like, look at me, I'm a badass. That's exactly what these kind of shitty late stage Seagal movies do.
Yeah.
And like they have to have 4 different edits for him just to do a kick because he's completely out of shape. He doesn't practice anymore. Like I'm not just being cruel. Like he's a big dude. He's like 60 something. He doesn't do martial arts, but he pretends that he does. So like you do these ridiculous things where he does.
He keeps up this ludicrous pretense.
Yeah,
I mean that's what. And hey, look, Scott interviewed him for his channel. By the way, everyone go check out Scott Adkins' channel because he did do a full interview with Seagal, which is fascinating because not many people get that.
Yeah, they don't.
So by all means go check that out. But I agree with you. I don't think I used to love. My dad was well into. If he's still in the room, hi Dad. He's well into Steven Seagal films, and I was too for a while. I used to love like Mark for Death. I used to love that film, man. Fucking Keith David. How can you right on? Love that shit, man. Like, and it's a good film. And even what's the one with Kelly LeBrock, who he's married to?
Fuck yeah, which one has Kelly LeBrock in it?
Not gonna die. Hard to kill. Hard to kill.
Okay.
It's hard to kill, but it's not impossible.
Impossible is just bragging.
Yeah. So ludicrous, stupid, dick waving garbage. A lot of it, but
dick waving garbage.
but enjoyable nevertheless. Nico or Above the Law, as it was called here, or
I can't remember which way around that goes, but yeah.
Good film. He looks a bit like Alistair McGowan, but fair enough.
Yeah.
Till he got his hair implants and the.
Well, because it all part of the protect. He has this. He won't grow gracefully, and it's just sort of embarrassing to watch at this point because he's dyeing his beard and his hair, and he's pretending that he can still do this stuff when he can't. And again, he's someone who is notoriously difficult to work with. He's hard work, so people don't want to work with him. Why would you? Yeah. Whereas someone like I know you've worked with him, but I know other people who've worked with Scott. Say he's fucking brilliant. He's supposed to be a top bloke, because you know what, he fucking jobbed on all those DTVs for ages, became like king of the straight to video, and they were really fucking good straight to video movies. There's this whole straight to video renaissance about 10 years ago that he was at the front of. And you got someone again like Seagal doing the same, plugging away straight to videos for shit money, like putting in no effort and just acting like an arse.
Yeah, well, because you get that thing of Seagal's on his way down, Scott's on his way up.
Yeah,
and I believe like Scott is a great leading man as well. Like, I really felt that about him. Like when we were doing that film, he was really. It was his thing too. Don't get me wrong, that film was his passion project, and he'd written it and he put it together, and so it's like, so I get it. But he was, and all the more, I feel all the more privileged to have been asked to be involved, but I as a result. But he's he's a gent. He's a lovely, lovely, lovely dude who's just fucking good at what he does. And more power to him. I know he's just finished something. My friend, we have a mutual friend who produced that, and his most recent film, he says, just finished filming with him on that. So that's really cool. He produced Erica as well. There's a potential. There's a lot. Put it this way: there's lots of crossover with me and Scott Adkins and people I know, and it's not saying like I'm going to work with him or anything, but it's just lots of really cool grooviness that goes on with him and people I know, and it's really cool. And he's making good stuff, and he's just doing it. He's just doing it because he loves it. That's the thing. So good on him.
That's nice. Between like him and Statham, there's been this really big British representation in modern action cinema, which is lovely. It's really, really
I need a wee, so I'm going to go do that.
He needs a wee. Duncan Casey is expelling urine. You're left with me, the blue boy, for a while. I'll have to think of something about which to filibuster whilst he's unfilling his bladder. Oh, Ian, fucking hell. Should stuntmen / women have an Oscar category? Ian, I'm going to ask that when Duncan comes back. Also, Ian, it's lovely to see you again. It feels like I haven't seen you in a long time, man. So I hope you're keeping well, looking after yourself. It's lovely to hear from you, and I'll put that to Duncan when he comes back. Also, we do owe a private watch party and an AMA stream for Patreon for May, and I realise we're getting to the end of the month, so we will double up if we have to, because I'm going to make sure you guys will get that content for which you pay. So we will get around to that. It's been very busy. I've been going back to work, going back on sites and stuff, like filming on site, which has been quite nice. So yeah, Val Verde Broadcasting. Hey Richard, did you ever hear the Rainbow Kids cassettes in the 1980s? No, I did. The Rainbow Kids cassettes? No, never heard of that. Apart from Zippy, George and Bungle, that's the Rainbow that I know from the 80s. Cigar should definitely get in shape and make a couple of Into the Sunset type movies and bow out. Maybe Oscar classic action films as Benny Legend. Yeah, he just seems to be an arse though. I don't think anybody wants to. I don't think even he wants to do that. I think that's the issue. If Raw wins, Annalise, most of them would be laughing. Yeah, let's see if we can get Raw in. But then Annalise would have had 2 films this week because she kind of got John Wick. Sorry, Annalise. Switch to young for those, says Phil Rob. Yeah, I don't know. Ian, pop me a message if you want on Patreon or wherever you choose to do so. I hope, take care of yourself. There were kids adaptations done on cassette for cheap, stuff like Rambo First Blood Part 2, but for kids. What? What the fuck is that? That's amazing. Richard, have you seen the trailer for Last Night in Soho? And Duncan, have you seen the trailer for Pro Chef for the Richard Casino Royale? Says Emerald Sky. I haven't watched the trailer of Last Night, so I'm waiting. I'm saving it because it's Edgar Wright's kind of Giallo movie, isn't it? So I'm quite excited. He looks a bit like Captain Kirk in that yellow jumper. I'm not going to say that though. I'm not saying it. I'll wait to put his headphones on. Right. See for chat from Ian McGar whilst you were slashing. Should stuntmen / women have an Oscar category? Says Ian.
This has been a big thing, hasn't it? In recent times, I think so. Yeah, I think so. I mean, they're massive part of making a lot of what we love work. So
it does. I mean, I think one of the schools of thought is that it could cause competition, and there have been, like the people have died doing big stunts and stuff. But I think they should be recognised. Very much so.
I think that's things. A weak argument, considering that. I mean, that robs people of agency, doesn't it? It's like, well, if we gave them an award, they'd all just try and kill each other. It's like, or kill themselves. It's like, that's saying that they're all idiots who don't know.
I think the Oscars is bullshit, anyway, which I've said many times, and in my opinions are my own. But, I think they should be recognised because they're amazing. I love the fucking Ong Bak. When Ong Bak came out, it was just like, fucking Jesus, because you just saw what they were doing for fuck all money. And there are all those long takes in Ong Bak, because it was all like, there's a bit where he kind of charges through the market street. And they choreographed all that in a warehouse somewhere with loads of boxes and hoops and stuff. So when on the day, he could just run through. And there's all these single take things in Ong Bak that are just like, and Tony Jaa now does all kinds of stuff, but like it was just a little breakthrough Thai film, It was like, fuck my ass, Jesus Christ! Some of the stuff's like, he's gonna die. He's gonna actually fucking die. Like, oh my god. And it's like, I would have given him a fucking Oscar right there. You know what I mean? Like,
I just think it's also a bit disingenuous to cop that attitude when you set things up to be, when you are the Oscars and you are the pinnacle of the industry, the film industry, and if you want to get to the top of the tree, that's the thing you win. But it's set up in such a way of like you get no recompense or recognition until you get there. You're setting people up anyway to pull crazy shit, and like you said, where's the funding for people who are going to do that at a medium level or starting out? Well, of course they're going to fucking do dangerous shit. Give me a break, and don't tell me they don't glorify sort of dangerous filmmaking anyway.
Tom Cruise. They sell every new Tom Cruise film on the fact that he's going to put a real locomotive train up his arsehole or whatever. It's always like, he really ate some uranium for this scene or whatever. Did I tell you, I found out last week that, and this is true, apparently 1 gram of uranium has like 20 billion calories. Because really? Calories are measured on release of energy.
Yeah, of course.
So, but the irony would, of course, be that if you ate uranium, you'd get much thinner very quickly. So Tom Cruise ate a uranium pie for Mission Impossible 24, whatever. Because that gets all the plaudits, doesn't it? Always, and the kind of people, because like Kane Hodder is someone who you can go see a picture of him putting me in a headlock on my Instagram. He was a stunt performer and he broke through in a kind of stunt role because he wasn't the first person to play Jason Voorhees, but he became the kind of favourite and did a number of them. And he was a stunt guy first, and they tend to remain anonymous, with a few really high end exceptions. And that feels kind of wrong. They're the people that take the licks. They do amazing, spectacular things that we all love to see. You know what I mean? And people.
Well, say what you will about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but that was very much the driving force behind the Brad Pitt, Leo DiCaprio relationship, wasn't it? It was this thing of like, I've made you look good for fucking years.
Yeah, nobody knows.
And I'm up here fixing your fucking TV aerial or whatever. It's just, but I'm basking in your reflected glory all the time. I mean, I think it's if you can give Oscars for dance choreography or for photography, then why can't you give it for stunt choreography and stunts? Why? They're just as much part of it. I like I say, I just think the argument that it's going to encourage, it's like the end of Batman Begins with fucking escalation. It's like, fuck off, is it? Because they're throwing themselves off buildings as it is, and you are making it happen anyway. Like I don't get how more dangerous it could get just because you offer a category for stunts.
Oscars aren't a barometer of quality. They're not.
I sort of agree broadly. I mean, let's be honest, the odds of me getting in fucking, hey, maybe it'll happen, but whatever.
Touch bleed, mate.
Touch bleed is.
They're going to introduce the 2 cans of reduced Tesco lager category for next year.
Exploded.
bloated cans.
Bloated. Sorry.
Superficially damaged Tesco lager.
Yeah, and the bottom kind of blows out.
Yes, exactly, because they've been.
And then you can't stand.
Also, the design is sun bleached. That's what's led to the bloating.
Right. Of course, you've left it in your window.
Superficial damage to the outer packaging as well. Of course.
Yes, of course. So I cope. I mean, from my experience in film and stuff, I absolutely do think that stunt performers there should be a category for them. Why not? The argument behind not doing it. If the only argument is because they'll do more, it's like
they're the ones who literally die for movies. You know what I mean? Like there's a litany of stunt performer deaths. It's fucking tragically awful. They literally put their lives on the line just because we want to know what it looks like if a man on fire fell on a trampoline out of a ferry.
Well, it's sort of also unspeakably arrogant to say that if we include a category, that's what will inspire one-upmanship. It's like, really? Because I think it's happening anyway. Like, I mean, I'm not being funny, but like, people are doing that. That there's people are just the idea that only you hold the sort of keys to that particular situation is ridiculous. I know I'm not making friends at the Academy right now, but we
don't want friends in the Academy, Duncan. We don't need them.
Well, like they know who I am anyway. I mean, I honestly think that's a weak source argument, and that their stranglehold is diminishing with every year that passes. I mean, they're getting no one is watching the Oscars anymore, are they? I mean, that's... Man, I've said this before, like, my friends at uni used to all go stay up all night and watch the Oscars, and I was like, what? I did.
Why?
Dude, I did.
Awful.
When I was at uni, I stayed up and watched the Oscars. I remember staying up 2004, I think it was, when Billy Crystal and Robin Williams were hosting. Well, no, when Billy Crystal was hosting, Robin Williams came up and did bits, because of course he did. I loved that. I loved all that, but it was the only link to sort of that kind of stuff. Whereas nowadays, that's just not the case. We don't sort of imbibe media in the same way, and I think they've just failed to move with that. They've kind of gone, no, we're the standard, and it's like, I think a lot of people have gone, all right, well, you be that, and then I think the whole Weinstein thing has made it crumble too, because that was a real Emperor has no clothes moment, because it was like, well, look, there was the orchestrator.
The Weinstein Company / Miramax was basically a fucking Oscar mill, wasn't it? That's what they fucking did. Yeah. It was an Oscar. Yeah. Dude, I never got the watching of it. It's like I wouldn't watch like the National Plumbing Society Awards. You know what I mean? I know I'm not interested in plumbing, but I use a toilet. Like and when you drill down into the Oscars, when it gets into it's all meaningless. It's like it's voted on by previous winners. Like the Academy's made up of these. It doesn't. The idea. What really bothers me is that people constantly hold that up as a barometer of quality. It won X amount of Oscars, therefore it's good. And it's like, think about what that means. Think about what that really means. Like a bunch of people who also won awards voted on it.
Yeah, I mean, we watched Nomadland. The other weekend or whatever it was, and that is such an Oscar film, and there's nothing wrong with it. You look at that film, it's really good. I love Frances McDormand. I think it's a really nicely put together film, beautifully shot, all that stuff, but it's clearly meant to be a little thing, a little bit of, it's a story, and it's wonderfully told, and everyone in it is wonderful, and it's beautiful, and it's about life, and it's about life after life, and all this sort of great stuff. But when you start going like, and it cures cancer or whatever, it's like, you kind of, and that's what I think those kinds of things do, because they have to, because they're this sort of behemoth of a institution that has to kind of justify itself, and it's just this sort of metastasizing thing, and you kind of go, why can't it just be a really lovely made film with really great performances and I don't want to take anything away from the filmmakers or Frances McDormand or any of the players in it, because I think they're all wonderful. But you kind of go, but at what point does this hand off to just this kind of, own fart huffing, circle jerk? Because it kind of becomes that. And at that point, it's like, and the good thing about streaming is I got to see it ahead of the hype. Because I always found this with a lot of films. Like, No Country for Old Men was the big thing for me. It came out, won a shit ton of Oscars. We didn't get it till much later in the day. I didn't go to the cinema, so I had to wait for it to come out on DVD, by which time, overhyped to buggery. I watched it and went, I don't really get that. And bearing in mind, I was like in my early 20s. Then, like in subsequent years and over time, I've come back to watch that without all the baggage and kind of gone, this is really great. This is a really great Coen Brothers film. Love it. Brilliant. But without all that shite that's just piled on it, as if you're supposed to like watch it and it cures blindness. Or it's like, fuck off! Like, no, it does. It's
film. That's one of the reasons I ignore the fucking Oscars. Is all of this shit, all the hype train. Like, fuck it, none of it means anything. And I'm not saying. I'm not therefore saying films that win Oscars are bad. That's idiotic. I'm just saying the institution.
And very often they're not. And what frustrates me is they're sort of I think they're tarring a lot of movies with baggage that they don't need. Like Nomadland doesn't need to be thrown in your face in every ad break going, critics call whatever. It's like, it doesn't need that shit, because actually it's the kind of film you're much better off discovering
Critics are calling it as one of the worst phrases in the English language. It's just like, no.
Exactly. So, and I think anyone who works in the industry at whatever level will tell you to not listen to, and it's nothing. And what's funny is it's kind of like, I like critics. I want critics to exist. I want film and TV criticism to carry on. But as someone in the industry, don't listen to them. I've made that mistake. When Erica has had these multitude of lives, and right now
it keeps going, doesn't it? Because it was fucking ages ago, and we just had it come out on Steam. It's crazy.
Yeah, we made it in 2018, and it came out 2019, and then it came out last year in what was the PlayStation Plus stuff, and then iOS, and now Steam. And so I made the mistake. I've made the mistake, and I'm not doing it this time. But I made the mistake at most of those turns to start reading reviews, and it's like, and the overwhelming majority are positive, but there's been a few where it's like,
some of them as well, particularly gamers, fucking hell,
shitting on it, or like, and specifically saying I'm shit or whatever, and you read stuff like that, and you go like, you don't get it, you don't understand. Like, I fucking, because you might have played through it once and thought I was wooden in certain places, but that's because fucking my character has to be the good guy or the bad guy or the neutral guy. And that early stuff, it can go either way. So you have to try and strike this crazy balance of being like potentially good, potentially bad, don't know, like blah, blah, and it's kind of like, it's really difficult, man. Like, you do it, and then you realise, what am I doing? Why am I trying to sort of
follow?
That was someone's experience of a thing, and they didn't think I was any good in their eyes. And all right, fine, whatever. And it's, why try and change that? I mean, it's hard, because you kind of, obviously your lizard brain freaks out, your intellectual brain goes, no, I get that,
right,
and then you've got to kind of figure out the middle ground. So whatever. this is my world.
Well, I'm going to check it out. Obviously, I'm going to play it, and then, I'll probably play it for the first time with you, because I think me playing it ahead of time would spoil the experience.
Okay.
I think it'd be more fun to do it on.
I'd be interested. I've never played it through. I've never played it really. I played a version of it when they were developing it. Afterwards, I got partway through and went, I don't want to see me.
I understand the average playthrough is about 2 or 3 hours. Okay. But of course, that's one hit, because there are multiple paths, so you're supposed to replay it, and
Yeah. Yes,
exciting. We've got jabs now, mate. We've got fucking jabs, mate. We're
jabbed. We've been stabbed.
First jab, but that's it's effective. I got. What fucking happened to me this week? This fucks me off. That was kind of. I have to do. I've said this before. COVID test when I go to shoot on a particular site, and it goes away to a lab and they text you, and I got a fucking thing saying like your test result was inconclusive. And I was like, well, first thing, I think I told you this, but first thing means I couldn't go to work, which is a bit of quid that I'm not going to get, which is bad. I ended up going in the end, which was good. But also, it's like, your test is inconclusive, and it's kind of like, okay, so you're not saying I've got it, but it's inconclusive. So I've got my own lateral flow test, so I did a test and it's negative, and I was kind of like, okay, that's good, because I've seen my family and stuff. Turns out, in my hurry, and by the way, they provided the test at the very last minute, I hurried, and I put my date of birth and the test date in the wrong boxes. And if you get anything wrong on the form, they immediately stop the test and then text you and say it's inconclusive. It's like, text me and say I fucked up the form. Don't text me and say you might have it. It's like that's not what inconclusive. It's not inconclusive if you haven't fucking done it. It's if you want to say you're a twat, you got it wrong. I'll take that hit. But don't sort of go like, well, you might have AIDS. Like, what, because I got the form wrong? Anyway, I was quite annoyed by that. But it turns out I don't have COVID. I've tested negative for COVID twice. So,
there are certain things I will give free passes to, for it is a incredibly unprecedented. Well, it's not unprecedented because we've had pandemics and endemics and whatever before, but I will you know, it's difficult for anyone to navigate this stuff, but it's like, look, we have a solid plan now. Shit is, look at the stats. The stats are working out.
There are no COVID cases in Addenbrooke's hospital presently.
I believe, I mean, I haven't actually seen anything in the last week or two, but we were down to like one case on a average 7-day average or whatever it is. You know, we've inoculated all the vulnerable people. The fact that you and I have had a jab, and it's now gone down to the mid-30s, early 30s. It's like, no, it's done. Yeah. It's a done deal. Like, we were never going to suffer from it anyway. You know, it's not really. More people die in road accidents. So at that point, what is it? It's nothing. Let's get on with it. Let's get the fuck on with it. I'm sorry to sound like it's not to diminish the fact that it has had massive impact and it's taken a lot of people before their time. I get that, but you know, we are where we are. Let's move on. Sorry to be a cunt.
Well, we're coming out. You know, I'm not as emphatic as you are, but we're coming out of it. It seems.
Yeah.
There's a review on Steam for Erica that opens with the phrase, in caps, amazing acting.
Aww.
I really enjoyed the story and it has replayability, different choices to go back on.
Apart from that cunt.
that cunt.
that callous COVID cunt.
Yeah, no, you know. I've got familial responsibilities now because I have that. I now have to do a thing on Fridays, so I'm going to suggest wrapping up if that's okay with you.
Absolutely, yes.
Wrap up and pack up. I had a week off again. Thank you, Duncan. A couple of weeks you got a week off. I might see if I can get a substitute. I might get a substitute Duncan. Okay. See who's free. I saw Liam and Laura at the weekend. Actually, I went around theirs to hang out, which was nice. A little bit seeing other humans, and Liam was about doing like him and Ben would be up for doing like a crossover with Conversation Hat for a watch party one night. They said.
Okay,
so, that's been mooted. But anyway, we're gonna go. Thank you so much. John Wick is a great movie and all. It's been a fun time. I think we're both shattered, which is probably coming off a little bit. But we love you all. Yeah. We got some, like I said, Duncan, we're coming. We really need to do watch party and AMA stream for May, which we haven't done, and I don't foresee it's going to happen in the next 4 days. But we'll talk about that off camera. I did mention it to everybody when you were expelling urine.
Well, I obviously did an AMA last week.
Oh, you didn't? But that's public though.
Which I did. Well, it was public, but I did the stipulation was that obviously Patreons got to ask questions first, so I answered all the Patreon questions first, then I opened it up. So I know that's not quite the same thing, but it was a kind of Patreon prioritised.
We'll get you, okay. So you know what? We'll get you some. Don't worry, we do love you. It's been very hectic times around here with stuff. What's going on? What is going on? Says Grammar. Right. Cheers, guys. Always lovely to see you. Of course, we love seeing you on Thursdays, seeing you all come out and having a chat and stuff. I'm going to smash cut to credits. If you have nothing else to say, then further hold your peace.
Adios.
Out of here. Bye.